What it takes. Ice blood. When Jiraiya decides to test out a new jutsu he learned from a traveling merchant, it lands Naruto and his team in a situation that will change his life and his perception on just what it means to be a ninja forever. When they regained their composure, Uchiha Sasuke was the first to speak. I might have expected this from a sensei of Naruto's. Nothing happened. Keep your comments to yourself, brat. Jiraiya snarled indignantly. Just because you've got those Sharingan eyes doesn't mean you can insult me. Sasuke, ever the conversationalist, said nothing in response, simply setting himself upon a fallen tree and sighing. Haruno Sakura, Sasuke's ever-present pink-haired confidant, although according to him the word annoyance would have been better, sat down beside him almost instantly. Sasuke-kun, are you okay? She asked worriedly. Are you hurt? Of course not, Sasuke snapped back. The white-haired hermit grunted and rolled his eyes. He was beginning to understand his hot-headed student's nearly religious disdain of the last remaining Uchiha. Itachi didn't count. Missing Nins had no names. The pretentious little punk was pretty damn annoying. The bored, annoyed, stone-faced youth was looking around himself with an expression that was uncomfortably familiar to Jiraiya, who instantly looked away. You're too much like Orochimaru for your own good, kid. Pretty soon you'll grow a forked tongue. Came a grating, squawking voice from behind him. Ero Senin, what's this jutsu supposed to do? I don't feel no different. Don't call me Ero Senin, Jiraiya muttered under his breath. Now, he began in a louder, sagely, in his own mind tone. The purpose of this jutsu, a very complicated jutsu which only the greatest of shinobi could accomplish, I might add, is to Jiraiya-sama. Jiraiya stopped mid-lecture, fingers still up in the air to accentuate his words, to regard the stoic, masked Jounin leaning back against a tree trunk, an extremely familiar book held easily in one glove-clad hand. Hitaki Kakashi glanced up, his single visible eye meeting Jiraiya's own. There are students, are they not? He asked. Yes, Jiraiya replied, wondering where this was going. Then, why not let them figure it out? Like it or not, the Uchiha has a point. We don't even know if it worked. I can't be entirely certain, after all. Kakashi shrugged, slipping his book into the pouch at his belt. If it didn't, then they won't find anything. But if it did, they should be able to tell. Jiraiya contemplated the younger ninja's suggestion, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. The idea did have merit. After all, what better way to test a young genin's observation skills than to place him, or her, in a situation where there may or may not be anything to observe? All right, Kakashi. Good idea. That's your training for the day. Amongst the three of you, decide just what it was that my jutsu did. If you can figure that out, or prove to my satisfaction that nothing has changed, then you pass. If you cannot do this, well, you'll find that out later. Jiraiya glared pointedly at Sasuke when he said this. The young Sharingan user was unperturbed. He glared right back. I don't think so, he said. I don't intend to fail. It's all well and good to say that, Sasuke-kun, the frog hermit snapped, placing sarcastic emphasis on the honorific, but the important part is to back up your big words. So how about you three get to work and come up with an answer before you start gloating, huh? Yash, Uzumaki Naruto cried excitedly. No sweat, Ero Senin. Stop calling me that, Jiraiya growled, whirling on his heel. That's Jiraiya-sama to you? Brat, not Ero Senin. Don't call me Ero Senin. Then stop being one. Naruto shot back, crossing his arms. Jiraiya's white-hot glare was met equally by his young charge, and eventually the legendary Leaf Nin-turned novelist averted his eyes and snorted. Just get to work, Naruto. You only have until sundown to give us an answer. You too, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi said. Get moving. Without complaint, although Sasuke rolled his eyes again, the other two genin of Team Kakashi left the clearing to follow their hyperactive, unthinking, far too chipper for this hour of the morning teammate. The two older ninja remained in the clearing, Kakashi staying where he was, his book back in his hand, and Jiraiya is sitting down in the same spot which Sasuke had occupied moments earlier. Jiraiya sighed. Well, I wonder how long it will take them to figure this out. If it worked, Kakashi murmured, Sasuke will know before long. Sakura, too. Naruto might not understand at first, but all in all, if it worked, they'll know. What will take them a long time is finding proof that nothing happened if, in fact, it didn't. T-Sage, Jiraiya snorted. It worked. I felt it. You said you got the scroll from a wandering peddler a month ago, Jiraiya-sama, Kakashi reminded. We cannot be sure that the effects are what she said they were. Jiraiya grunted. That's why I'm not sure. But for how much I paid for the thing, it had better have worked as advertised. I intend to soak in a lot of nostalgia here. I'm still not certain this was a good idea, Kakashi muttered. Oh, you wouldn't, you stick in the mud, Jiraiya complained, waving off the Jounin's concern. Honestly, with the fourth as your teacher, one would have thought some of his adventurous nature would have washed off on you. Who could pass up an opportunity like this? Think of the possibilities. I am, Kakashi replied softly. And that is precisely why I don't like this situation. I cannot see it ending well. I apologize, Jiraiya-sama, but I find myself hoping that your attempt failed or that the jutsu was a fraud. Jiraiya sighed and shook his head. Sheesh, well, we'll just see then, won't we, kid? Kakashi twitched at being called such a name, but he said nothing. You know, in order to avoid unnecessary confusion, you may want to pick up an alias, just in case we happen to run into someone. That particular idea, which Kakashi understood immediately, obviously hadn't passed the silver-haired ninja's mind, because his eye widened and he lowered his book. Jiraiya grinned, looking so much like his student that it was eerie, but Kakashi didn't see it. His mind was occupied. Now, he was thinking of other possibilities than the ones he had been concerned about. He was thinking about precisely the same things that Jiraiya had thought about when he'd bought the scroll. Oui. Kakashi choked out. See? Aren't you glad I brought you along? It was difficult to do it. Myself and 3 genin wasn't all that hard, although Naruto caused a bit of headache. You took a lot of extra energy, but I thought you would appreciate the scenery. Yotira-sama. Kakashi turned his head. This jutsu is amazing, incredible, wondrous, the greatest thing you've ever laid your eye on. Dangerous. Jiraiya's eyebrows rose. Dangerous? Well, sure, if the wrong people learn it, but, well, that woman said she only sold that jutsu to people she deemed responsible, and I believe her. She had a knowing way about her. Yes, and she gave it to you. This comment was pointedly ignored. While the potential of this jutsu is rather intriguing, Jiraiya was pleased to note the copy ninja's change of opinion. There is one particular person I am concerned about. Concerned about? Who? Naruto. Oddly enough, no. I'm concerned about Sasuke. The implications seemed to hit Jiraiya just then, as the frog hermit raised his eyes to regard the sky, something he always did when deep in thought. He frowned. I hadn't really thought about him. Well, I guess we'll just have to keep an eye on him, won't we? Kakashi nodded, placing his book back into its pouch. I suppose we should leave, then. Jiraiya nodded. It was a sad fact in Konohagakure that, while the members of Kakashi's genin team had possibly the greatest potential of all of their peers, their teamwork, or lack thereof, made them the least accomplished squad to have come along in centuries. So it was no surprise that an argument broke out not 4 minutes into their training exercise. This is stupid. Nothing's different. Ero Sennin didn't do anything. We can't know that yet, Naruto, Sakura said with a disgusted look on her face. We haven't looked at anything. Sure we have. Naruto waved his hand impatiently at the village before them. You see anything? Dope, Sasuke muttered. Of course we aren't going to notice anything this far from the village. You're just as much an idiot as your teacher. What was that, you jerk? I ought to. Boys, Sakura cried. Stop this. Shut up. Both shinobi snapped at their pink-haired teammate before going for each other's throats. Naruto had forgotten, and Sasuke hadn't known, that Sakura had been receiving personal training from Tsunade, the kunoichi of the legendary Sannin and arguably the strongest, physically, of all the ninja of the Hidden Leaf. And even if you were Sasuke, you just didn't get away with telling a student of Tsunade to shut up. Nursing bruised noses, Naruto and Sasuke sulked as they shuffled next to a sauntering Sakura into the village. I can't believe she hit me, Sasuke thought. Of course, she would apologize profusely and heal his injuries in about 7.6 seconds. But still, she had hit him, and it had hurt. Stupid Tsunade-bachan taught Sakura-chan her chakra hand trick? Crap, Naruto thought with a glare. Yes, Tsunade had molded his precious Sakura-chan into a dangerous person. In other words, deadly, angry, narrow-eyed, grumpy, evil, rabid, overbearing, unusually psycho, and sadistic. Just great. Before that old which had become Hokage, Sakura-chan had been a lot nicer. Not really, just weaker. Naruto grumbled curses as he placed Sakura's name on the list, right under Tsunade's. Sure, there were the only two names on that list, but the fact that there was even a second one was frightening enough. What's that paper, Naruto? Sakura asked, deceptively sweet. And in nothing, Sakura-chan. Nothing at all. Naruto was silent as Sakura started talking to Sasuke about the new healing jutsu she had just perfected. Oh, sorry. 28 seconds. Must have been having an off day. Naruto wasn't surprised at all that she didn't bother to heal him. But then his own bruises were gone already. Anyway, would have been nice if she had offered, though. Fat chance of that. The day Sakura ever thought to heal him would be the day that Sasuke danced the can-can with Gaara and Shino. Sasuke and Sakura had no idea why Naruto suddenly howled with laughter. They just ignored it like they always did. And when he suddenly started kicking his legs up and pointing at the black-haired, black-eyed boy before actually falling down and curling up in a fetal position, Sakura just started kicking him. After 2 minutes of this with no change in Naruto's behavior, Sasuke grabbed the blonde by the collar of his orange jacket and dragged him the rest of the way to the village, muttering to himself about how Naruto was a waste of plasma and that he was starting to understand why Orochimaru had become a missing nin. Jiraiya probably hadn't been any better and might have been worse, and once or twice voiced his regret at having come back to Konoha. He didn't bother telling Sakura to quit kicking. This was a random idea that struck me a while ago, and it grew into a full-fledged story after discussing it with a friend of mine. This won't be all fun and games, and I'm certain I'll have quite a few angsty scenes here and there, but I think a lot of this story will be lighthearted. This is my first time writing Team Kakashi, since my first Naruto FIC was about Zabuza and Haku, and my second one has Gaara and Hinata as Naruto's teammates instead of Sakura and Sasuke, but I think I did a halfway decent job with them. If I haven't, well, this story will give me practice. Naruto was still grumbling about how stupid this exercise was because he wanted to learn a new jutsu, but that was something Sasuke and Sakura had gotten used to. He was thick-headed to a fault and didn't understand, or want to understand, the need for subtler training exercises such as the one they were currently taking part in. If he could beat anyone he came across, who cared if he was subtle? It was a headache, really. Sakura noticed things that the others likely didn't. Subtle. Again, things, small things. Insignificant little things about the landscape, the placement of objects, the people walking about the village doing their daily business. Sasuke didn't see everything that Sakura did, but he noticed buildings were different, that plants and other such things were arranged differently, that the people he passed weren't immediately recognizable. Naruto didn't find anything amiss because he hadn't been looking, he'd been complaining, until they passed his favorite restaurant, Ichiraka Ramen. What the holy? Did you see anything interesting, Kakashi? Jiraiya posed as he set up a fire to cook the fish he had just caught. Somewhat, Kakashi murmured. Nothing substantial yet, but it's clear the jutsu did as the old woman said it did. There's hardly a doubt in my mind anymore. Jiraiya grinned. Good. I can't wait to start looking around. Who knows who I might find? Maybe the star of my next book? Heh, I haven't been writing for a while. Kakashi, as much as he enjoyed the hermit's books, still rolled his eye at the old man's single-mindedness. Is that all you think about, Jiraiya-sama? Not all, no. I'm hoping to meet someone in particular, but I don't know if I'll run into him for a while. For now, I figure I'll just spend my time researching, at least until the brats come back with their answer. I figure, before we do anything, we should explain it to them so they know exactly what's going on here. Are you certain it was a good idea to send them to the village alone? They may do something to. Oh, knock it off, would you? Jiraiya said. You worry too much. Stupid as he seems, that kid's got a decent head on his shoulders when he decides to use it, and the other two will likely catch on quick enough and keep him from getting into too much trouble. Somehow I'm doubting that. Kakashi muttered. You know, you don't always have to express your opinion. Still doubting. Seems you learned something from your old commander. You both don't know when to shut up. Both Yondaime-sensei and I simply know a certain truth about you. If we don't constantly express our opinions, your mind will lose track of it. A fleeting glance of swaying hips, a flash of cleavage, the slightest hint of a feminine figure causes all other thought to flee your head like the steam you so often use for cover at the bathhouses. How poetic. Sensei's words. He was rather proud when he came up with it, as I recall. Anyway, stop your worrying. This will be fun. Now let me set this stupid thing up. You have to be careful when cooking fish or it'll end up. Kakashi's hands flew in a series of seals and a wave of flame shot over the fish, causing Jiraiya to jump and drop the stick he had been holding. Glaring at the masked Jounin, the hermit huffed and looked at his ruined meal. They were cooked perfectly. Cocky little son of a, Jiraiya muttered under his breath. Kakashi cracked open his book again. How many times had he read them? Jiraiya wondered, and remained completely silent while Jiraiya went on a tirade about not getting the respect he deserved and how no one ever listened to him anymore. He and Naruto were made for each other. Kakashi muttered under his breath. What was that? A sigh. Nothing, Jiraiya-sama. Nothing at all. Anyway, they won't be back until sundown, will they? Somehow, I'm doubting that, Jiraiya said, echoing the Jounin's earlier words. Naruto will probably be too impatient to stay in the village till then. He'll come up with something and run back here. We'll tell him what really happened then. He ripped a fish off of the stick and chewed thoughtfully. How close will he get, I wonder? Sasuke probably has the best chance of guessing, really. I'd venture to think he's the only one with a chance of guessing, Kakashi said. Naruto will think too lightly, Sakura too deeply. Sasuke, though? Jiraiya nodded. Yes, it was likely true. Before any of the three genin had a chance to comment on the condition of the popular restaurant, a loud, snapping voice caused them to flinch. They turned around slowly at the, "Hey you," directed at them, cautious looks on their faces. A black-haired man, tall and dressed in an unfamiliar uniform, glared at them. "You," he snarled, pointing to Sasuke. "What is your name?" "Sasuke." The man glared at him intensely, arms crossed, and clearly insulted by something. His black eyes narrowed. "That shirt you're wearing, Sasuke." "What about it?" Sasuke snapped. "Only an Uchiha may wear that insignia. You're a genin, by the look of you, and that means you should know this. Who exactly do you think you are?" Sasuke continued to glare right back at the man yelling at him, indignant rage flaring in his eyes. "I don't know what your problem is," he said, "but I am an Uchiha, so back off. You think highly of yourself to lie so blatantly to me, boy. I'll let you off with a warning this time, but if I see you with that symbol anywhere on your body again, I won't be so lenient." "Idiot," Sasuke muttered and turned his back. The kunai embedded itself into the back of his shoulder, felling him in an instant. The pain that shot down Sasuke's arm made him bite his tongue, and he ripped the instrument out with a slight cry. "Next time, show some respect." The man left. Naruto, looking from the retreating man to Sasuke, then back again, gaped in disbelief. What the? This is weird. He didn't know me, Sasuke murmured softly, grunting as he stood up. And the kunai he threw at me, I couldn't even sense it. Sakura reached into the pouch at her belt for supplies and set to healing her teammates' wound. I think this is a village-wide genjutsu. Nobody's recognized us so far, and everything is a little different, it seems. But what would be the purpose of such a jutsu? Did he use it just to test us? To confuse us? Sound just like something Ero Sennin would do, Naruto muttered. He's probably off spying at the bathhouse, and it'll make it easier to do that if nobody recognizes him. Yeah, Sakura said, nodding. Jiraiya-sama would do something like that. He probably made up this exercise to get rid of us, so he can go on one of his research sessions. Research sessions? Sasuke asked, raising an eyebrow. Oh, Sasuke didn't know Jiraiya. He writes those dirty books Kakashi-sensei reads all the time, Naruto said. Those Aika things. He says he needs plenty of inspiration and research to write good stuff. All that means is he looks at girls when they're taking a bath or swimming or something. Jiraiya-sama is a world-class pervert, Sakura said. TCH, Sasuke rolled his eyes again. Figures. And let me guess, Naruto, you like your sex-change jutsu. That's not what it's called, Sasuke. Whatever. But, sure did. Called me a genius. Kept asking me to do it over and over again. Said it made his heart set on fire or something stupid like that. Did he touch you? Sakura asked, not necessarily out of any concern for the blonde's dignity, but for the sole purpose of seeing if the white-haired man was really as creepy as she thought. Oh no. Then Naruto grinned. Why, Sakura-chan? Feeling possessive. Bad idea. It took Naruto several minutes to fully extract himself from the fence. By that time, the angry bruise on his face had healed. How's that, Sasuke-kun? It's fine. Thanks. Naruto grumbled as he wiped off his pants and took chunks of it out of his hair. I ain't paying for that, Sakura-chan. You explain to the guy why you broke his fence. Sakura ignored him. Surprise, surprise. So it's some weird Ero Sennin trick to peek at girls? Naruto muttered. That gotta be. And it caused everyone not to know us. That guy didn't even recognize Sasuke-kun. The nerve, saying he wasn't an Uchiha. And I'm betting nobody will recognize us, either. Even if I went home, my parents would probably think I'm a stranger. Yeah, since nobody's said hello to us. Much as I don't want to admit it, lots of girls would be waving at Sasuke if they remembered who he was. And all the different aspects of the village, like the paint on the buildings and the trees and stuff, probably just to try confusing us. Throw us off our guard. Jiraiya-sama likes to do that. Naruto said, nodding. Ero Sennin does lots of stuff you don't expect. Really annoying, too. Sasuke and Sakura looked at each other, but decided not to say anything. It was too much of a headache. Look at what he did to Ichiraku. Naruto crowed with a scowl. Stupid Ero Sennin. He did this just to piss me off. Sasuke stood up. I think I've seen enough. Let's go back. Yeah, it's pretty clear what he's done, Sakura said. And I want to go home and take a bath. Anyway, so the sooner he reverses it, the better. Naruto scowled. Yeah, stupid genjutsu. What's the point if we got it already? I got it, Naruto. You didn't get anything, Sakura said. TCH, whatever. Let's just go back and tell Ero Sennin. No. Naruto and Sakura both looked at Sasuke, who was looking around. His black eyes were somber, cold. Know what? Naruto asked. It's not that simple. What do you mean, Sasuke-kun? Sakura posed. This isn't some ordinary jutsu. It's not as simple as you think. I can feel it. This is too different. And that man? He what? He was... Sasuke looked up. Never mind. Let's go. Quickly. Sakura and Naruto followed their teammate and self-proclaimed leader, having to sprint to keep up with him. Whatever he had discovered, it had him worried. And it wasn't as simple as someone not recognizing him because of a genjutsu. Now that he had said that, Naruto and Sakura could feel it too. There was something off about the jutsu, something far more complicated. So, it seems you've decided you know the answer to the question. Kakashi lowered his book and slipped it back into its pouch, crossing his arms and raising a thin silver eyebrow. Jiraiya, chewing methodically on a strip of fish, gestured to the food skewered on thin sticks cooking on the fire. The three genin sat down and began to eat. Well, we're not certain, Sakura said, but the only thing I can think of is a village-wide genjutsu. The scenery is different, the villagers are different, and nobody recognized us. We didn't recognize anyone, either, so we figured you changed their appearances. So we figured what you did, Erosenin, is use the jutsu so you could spy on girls without anyone knowing who you were, Naruto added, the expression on his face showing that he clearly disapproved of the activity. And you changed stuff around in the village to confuse us. Jiraiya frowned thoughtfully. Is that so? A genjutsu woven around the village so that the user is unrecognized. Sounds like something a missing nin might want to use at Kakashi. Kakashi shrugged. Might want to see if such a jutsu exists, he murmured. It would probably help the ANBU core in tracking them down. But nope. Sorry, Naruto, Sakura, but you have it wrong. So, the young genius is silent, Jiraiya said. I take that to mean you have another guess. So what do you say, Sasuke? The black-haired boy turned his eyes up to the hermit with a strangely intense expression. It was strange because Jiraiya found himself slightly intimidated by it, which didn't sit well with him. Damn, Jiraiya, knock it off. He scolded himself. He came back. He's not Orochimaru's pawn. Ugh, this is ridiculous. Sasuke drew in a deep breath. At first, I agreed with Sakura and Naruto. Genjutsu seemed the most likely solution. The first thing that made me think that wasn't the case, though, was that I couldn't see through it. Try to use your Sharingan to break the illusion, Jiraiya murmured. However, that wasn't enough, he continued, because the jutsu was performed by one of the legendary Sannin. So, I couldn't exactly rely on my eyes to break it. Jiraiya smirked. Correct. If I wanted to use Genjutsu on you, nothing you did would make it break. You're too young and too inexperienced. Sasuke grunted. Still, it was enough to make me doubt. Then, we passed Ichiraku Ramen, or at least what should have been Ichiraku Ramen. But it wasn't there. That, of course, also could have been part of the Genjutsu, but it made us stop. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. A man accused me of falsely proclaiming myself an Uchiha and warned me against wearing my clan's insignia. That could have also been the Genjutsu Sakura and Naruto are suggesting, but his hair was black, not gray, but he was unmistakable. Oh, and who was it that stopped you, Sasuke? A member of the Konoha military police force, Uchiha Yashiro. Sakura gasped, and Naruto stared. You know that guy? Sakura asked incredulously. He was a part of your clan? You had to know I wouldn't appreciate this, Sasuke muttered, ignoring his teammates. And I don't think you would do it just to spite me. Regardless of the rumors I've heard about you, I've also heard that, deep down, you're a respectable ninja. So I don't think this sort of prank would be something you do. I don't think this is some Genjutsu you used to test us. Jiraiya was actually smiling. Oh, so what do you think? I think you brought us into the past. Huh? Sasuke, what the hell are you talking about? Naruto crowed. The past. Are you serious? Yes, back when my clan was still alive, when it was a respected presence in the Hidden Leaf. That what you did, isn't it, Jiraiya? The frog hermit chuckled. Genius, indeed. Then again, we figured you would run across someone from your clan during your assignment. Yashiro, huh? Yeah, if I remember right, he was always a stickler for tradition. He would have been annoyed to see a non-Uchiha with the Uchiha insignia. Did you tell him you were? Yes, I did. He struck me with a kunai. Huh. Well, in any case, you have it right. The jutsu I used is a time travel technique. It's a complicated process, but evidently it worked. Good. Jiraiya-sama, he's right? Sakura asked. We're in the past. Sure are, Jiraiya said. At least a decade back, probably more. I'm not entirely certain. I was aiming for about 14, but who knows if that's what I managed. Guess we'll find out, won't we? Kakashi crossed his arms. We'll have to do something about this. If you achieve your goal, these three haven't been born yet, which means we'll have to have some way to explain their presence here. I figure I'll talk to the old man, Jiraiya said. He can help cover this up. He'll know the jutsu. He'll understand the situation. We can just say they've been training with me for a while, which is why they haven't been around. I gave them the headbands because I tested them myself and deemed them ready. Only the Hokage and his council can decree a student is ready for that, Sakura pointed out. Students are given their headbands in the graduation ceremony after their scores are looked over by the council and approved. How can you say you did something that's against the law? I'll wing it. Jiraiya-sama. Oh, stop worrying. I'll handle it. The worst that could happen is that I'll have to explain to the village what I did. I'd rather we not get into such a messy situation, so I'll get the old man to help me. If it doesn't work, oh well. So, we're not even born yet? That's so freaking weird. Naruto said, eyes wide and excited. This the best idea you ever had, Ero-senin. Awesome. Jiraiya chuckled. That's what I thought. I figured, if nothing else, it'd be fun. Plus, well, you'll all get to meet someone you know very well but have never met. Did you, by chance, happen to look up at the Hokage monument while you were in the village? Naruto said, so what? What did you see? Sotai-sama, Sakura-site, Nidaime-sama, Sandaime-sama, wait, Yondaime-sama. The fourth's face wasn't there. That's right, Jiraiya said with a chuckle. And that's because he isn't Hokage yet. Seriously? Naruto cried. He isn't. No, Jiraiya rubbed his chin. In this time, he's just plain old Namikaze Minato. He's made a name for himself, but he isn't quite strong enough to succeed Sarutobi. Not yet. So, Sasuke murmured, you used this jutsu to see Yondaime again. Indeed. Minato was my student, you see. He invented the Rasengan. I'm sure you remember that particular jutsu. Sasuke nodded, scowling. Oh yes, he did. Sakura seemed almost as excited as Naruto now. I've always wanted to know what kind of man Yondaime-sama was. Can we go see him now? Is he in the village? Dunno. Jiraiya murmured thoughtfully, but I know who to ask. So, now that you know what sort of situation we're in right now, let's say we get moving. Hi. Naruto and Sakura said enthusiastically. NGH, Sasuke grunted. Team Kakashi stood outside the Hokage's office as Jiraiya stormed in. The Sannin had claimed that it would be easier, for now, to keep Sandaime oblivious to their existence. It would be explained soon enough, he had said, and he really didn't want to deal with a headache. The four ninjas sighed. For Kakashi, it was a reminder of just how irresponsible the white-haired man could be sometimes. For Sasuke and Sakura, it was a reminder of just how similar he was to Naruto, which was basically the same as Kakashi's reaction, actually. For Naruto, it was the ruination of his plan to surprise the old man with a particular jutsu that he hadn't used in a long while. Hey, old man, long time no see. Where's that blonde idiot gone to? He really is like Naruto, Sasuke thought, shaking his head and marveling at the coincidence. Just as Tsunade seemed an older, more powerful, more experienced version of Sakura, and just as Orochimaru had seemed an older, more powerful, and more experienced, and more psychotic version of himself, so too was Jiraiya to Naruto. History repeats itself. How true it was. Jiraiya, what a pleasant surprise. Yeah, well, I was in the neighborhood. So, where's my prize student, huh? You mean your only student? Sandaime replied caustically. TCH. Minato and his team have been on a mission for the past few days, but I expect them back sometime early this evening, likely in a few hours. Well, seems I have good timing. So, it seems, what brings you back to the village anyway, Jiraiya? Oh, no particular reason. Just thought I'd check in, see how you're holding up, go drinking with Minato, frighten the wits out of his genin. you know? Normal things. The last time you visited, you evidently had Minato's team playing strip poker atop the monument. On my head, no less. Jiraiya laughed. Oh yes, I remember that. Found out that little Rin's a bad gambler. Had his mask been slightly lower, the three genin would have seen Kakashi's face turn red. Yes, Minato mentioned that. Heh, well, anyway, I suppose I'll just go for a walk around the village till the Flash gets back. Nice seeing you again, old-timer. You don't look all that young yourself anymore, Jiraiya. Older than I would have thought. Actually, seems you've been rather harsh on yourself. Yes, but at least I'm not balding. Sandame grumbled in response to that, and Jiraiya came sauntering out of the office with a grin on his face, as if he had won some sort of contest. Winking at his four companions, he gestured for them to follow him. You know, speaking of that little experiment, Jiraiya murmured thoughtfully as they walked, I remember hearing that you, were torn between choosing your mask or your pants when Obito hit you with that straight flush. Kakashi grunted, and that you have very pale legs. He choked. Naruto looked at his two teammates. Figures. Sasuke and Sakura agreed. Hey, what did you do that for? I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, you do, you jerk. You put that rock there on purpose. He did not. You just tripped over it because you weren't paying attention. Don't blame him for your own clumsiness. Nah, I know he did. You did, didn't you? Fess up. Could you, I don't know, try being quiet for once? Not unless you admit you put that rock there. Fine, I put the rock there. Ah, I knew it. I knew it. I should have expected you wouldn't keep your word. Hey, Namikaze Minato said, holding up his hands. Calm down, you guys, huh? You're giving me a headache. Obito, stop it. Kakashi didn't trip you, okay? It was just a rock. No way, the spiky-headed Uchiha cried indignantly. I'm a ninja sensei. I wouldn't trip on a rock. Stupid jerk Kakashi put it there on purpose. Running a hand through his messy blonde hair, Minato sighed heavily. He never would have expected taking on a team of genin would be this much work. He'd been certain that watching over genin, real ninja, would be at least less of a headache than watching over normal children, like he'd done in his youth, not entirely of his own volition. Kind of like now. But the combination of Uchiha Obito, Hatake Kakashi, and Rin, Minato often wondered what the girl's family name was, but he hadn't gotten around to asking, was trying on his patience. A lot of it was Obito, and though he wouldn't admit it out loud, the main reason the black-haired boy was so annoying was because he reminded Minato rather poignantly of himself. Since taking on this team, Konoha's Yellow Flash had slowly gained more and more respect and sympathy for his own teacher, though he'd never say it to the white-haired pervert's face. In retrospect, he really shouldn't have been as surprised as he was when said white-haired pervert's face actually appeared, as if out of thin air, right in front of his eyes. After all, he was a Jounin now, an elite shinobi, and elite shinobi didn't squeak when someone appeared suddenly in front of them. This Jounin did. SS-sensei, when did you show up? Obito screamed and ducked behind Rin. Kakashi rolled his eyes, but kept a tight hold on the kunai he now held in his right hand, and Rin looked about as helplessly frightened as a kicked puppy and more than a little disgusted. Jiraiya grinned, showing far too many teeth, and chuckled in that odd, low, perverted way of his. Well, looky here. Been a while since I saw you kids. How are you doing? Obito screamed again. Minato smacked his forehead. His headache was never going to go away now. He just hoped he wouldn't have to explain to the Uchiha elders why Obito wasn't wearing any pants and laughing uproariously about how girly Kakashi's legs looked, like the last time his sensei had decided to drop in. Some of you saw this coming. Be proud of yourselves. For those of you who didn't, surprised? Well, I just couldn't resist the idea of Team Kakashi interacting with Team Yellow Flash, so time travel. Yay. The wonders of ninjadom. Side note, I decided on the name Kazuma Erasure because it seems the most widespread name for Yondaime-sama. I don't claim to know his real name, as only Kishimoto-sensei does. Or maybe even he doesn't. I don't know. So, Kazama Erasure it is. Another side note, this is slightly AU in that Sasuke is still around even though the timeline, at first, was sometime in between Sasuke's leaving the village and Naruto's extended training with Jiraiya. I'm not sure why I decided on this, but I did. Hatake Kakashi was able to hold back his fear, his nervousness, his anxiety, as well as any jounin before him, perhaps better than most of them. When he was confronted with a mission, he carried it out without faltering in the slightest. But this was far more than he had ever anticipated he might confront. He found himself wishing that he had been asked to undertake the assassination of Orochimaru rather than this. The idea of seeing his old team again, while achingly tempting, was also incredibly daunting. He found his feet were anchored to the ground, and instead of moving out of hiding when Jiraiya called out, using the name Kimura, something he had evidently decided on at the last moment, he stayed stolid where he was. Sasuke brushed past his commander, followed closely by Sakura and Naruto, and Kakashi felt ashamed of himself. This was stupid. Why was he so nervous at the prospect of finally having the chance to see his closest friends again? It was completely incomprehensible. Sensei's on his way, Sakura said. Kakashi watched his team as Jiraiya introduced them. Jiraiya scowled. Where's that boy? Some Hatake you are, Kimura, he called out. Hatake. Kakashi heard a voice, a strange, familiar, young voice repeat. This Kimura is a Hatake. Jiraiya nodded. Kind of a black sheep, if you will. You probably wouldn't know of him. Took me a whole hell of a lot of negotiating to get him to show his face around here again. And really, he hasn't. He like Kakashi? Asked Obito with an annoyed frown. Hiding behind a mask all the time? Indeed. Hearing the Uchiha's voice again after over a decade made Kakashi's heart constrict with sudden pain, and he found himself short of breath. This was unacceptable. He stood up straight and walked out onto the path. Jiraiya chuckled inwardly when the three genin stared at him with fright. Oh, sure, little Kakashi wasn't as much afraid as exasperated, but still, it was immensely pleasing to the Sannin to see children with proper respect for his reputation. Or, if he couldn't get that, which he couldn't, respect for his inventive training exercises. Mato Guy might like running around Konoha on his hands for 7 hours, but these three certainly hadn't. Oh, calm down, Jiraiya said finally, rolling his eyes. The fun went away when they actually started crying. Kami, Rin, you don't have to look at me like I'm going to eat you. I'm just dropping a check on you guys. The young Kunoichi didn't look convinced. Minato crossed his arms, smirking slightly. Jiraiya-sensei, if there's one thing I know about you, besides your psychosis, it's that you never visit anyone without a reason behind it. It's just not your way. So what is this? Jiraiya looked offended. He put a hand on his heart and stepped back. Why, Minato? How cold? I simply wanted to see how you were holding up, is all. Somehow, the blond man didn't look convinced, either. Sighing, Jiraiya shrugged. Fine. Too sharp for your own good, kid. There's an ulterior motive to my little visit today. I'd like you to meet a few people. Huh? Jiraiya laughed heartily. I've taken on new students. Didn't you hear? Well, maybe not. In any case, I thought I'd show them my handiwork from the past, to show them that I am a superb teacher. You know, they're actually starting to doubt me. I wonder why, Minato muttered tonelessly. Obito snickered. Oi, Jiraiya called out. Kimura, come on out, would you? And bring the brats with you. When nothing happened for a moment, Jiraiya groaned. Of course he knew why Kakashi wasn't showing himself. He was nervous, anxious, apprehensive, and Jiraiya could understand that. He didn't allow himself to show it, but staring his former student in the face again was extremely taxing. He felt an overwhelming urge to grab the big blonde idiot and hug him tight enough to strangle him, to apologize for not being there in time to help him, for allowing him to die, for any number of things. No doubt Kakashi felt that same guilt. The problem, though, was the masked man's personality. Jiraiya, like Naruto, had long since learned to hide his own anxieties behind a grin. He forced himself to be outgoing, to be outlandish, to be crass and stupid because he knew what happened if one let guilt overwhelm him. Tsunade had run away. Orochimaru had become a criminal. Sasuke almost done both. Yes, it was no wonder that Kakashi was still nowhere to be seen. T.H. Jiraiya scowled. Sakura came out of the brush, followed closely by her teammates. The four others looked at her with interest. Sensei's coming, she told Jiraiya. Well, anyway, I guess introductions are in order. This is Yamada Sakura, Kazuhiko Naruto, and Uchiha Sasuke. To the kids' credit, no expression passed their faces at the new, completely false, family names. He could half hear Naruto crying indignantly. How come Sasuke gets to keep his real name and we don't? But he didn't do that. Thank God. Guys, this is Rin, Uchiha Obito, Hatake Kakashi, and Namikaze Minato. When exchanges of bows and hellos were exchanged, and the newly christened Kimura hadn't shown himself yet, Jiraiya crossed his arms and sighed. Well, if there was one thing he had learned from Obito and Naruto both, it was that with people like Kakashi or Sasuke, for that matter, one way to get them to do what you wanted was to insult their courage. Where's that boy? Some Hatake you are, Kimura, the hermit snarled. Get out here. No one's going to kill you on sight. What are you, a greenhorn genin? Hatake. The young silver-haired chunin was back to watching Jiraiya intently now. His eyes, both black, Jiraiya noticed and marveled at the sight. How long had it been since the last time he had seen Kakashi without Obito's Sharingan? Were slightly wider than normal. This Kimura is a Hatake? Jiraiya grinned. Kind of a black sheep, if you will. You probably wouldn't know of him. Took me a whole hell of a lot of negotiating to get him to show his face around here again, and really, he hasn't. He like Kakashi? Obito asked, frowning. Hiding behind a mask all the time? Indeed, Jiraiya nodded. According to Kimura, it is a tradition in the Hatake family. When a member becomes of age, he dons a mask. Kakashi nodded. Correct. Ninja are faceless weapons for the use of their employer. Their features serve no purpose other than to get them caught. That is what I was told. We wear these masks to keep ourselves unknown. That is correct, young one, said Kakashi's older self, finally showing himself, and there was only the slightest of quavers in his deep voice. However, ever since we stopped covering our entire bodies, the tradition has become naught more than that. Any enemy worth his eyes will recognize a ninja who wears a mask which only covers part of his face. All eyes turned to the young jounin. Kakashi crossed his arms. I suppose you are correct. Would that be why you wear your Hitai in such an odd manner? Kimura, Jiraiya had to start thinking of the man as having this name, or he would become hopelessly confused after a while. Chuckled. Perhaps, but that's a secret I'm not willing to disclose, even if you were family. He looks pretty cool, Rin murmured thoughtfully under breath. Yeah, pulls off that mask a whole hell of a lot better in you, Kakashi, Obito laughed, elbowing his teammate with a sneer. He looks good in it, like a badass. You just look like a moron. Jiraiya had to bite his tongue to keep from laughing. Oh, the irony. So, you're Uchiha Obito, eh? Kimura murmured, cutting off Kakashi's sarcastic retort, and Jiraiya noted that he stuttered just slightly when saying the boy's name. Yeah, it's me, Obito said proudly, jabbing at himself with a thumb. Master the Sharingan, the best ninja in history. How can you be a master at something you can't even use, Obito-kun? Rin posed. Hey, I will be. Sasuke smirked. An Uchiha shinobi unable to use the Sharingan? Aren't you supposed to be a chunin? Obito rounded on the other boy with a scowl. Hey, back off, new guy. It ain't my fault. Sasuke crossed his arms and his smirk widened. I'm sure. Who are you, anyways? Obito asked suspiciously. You were the fan of the Uchiha on your shirt. There, and the old perv said you was part of my clan, but I never seen you before. You were too young to have remembered Sasuke, Jiraiya said. He's been training with me for a long time now. That long, huh, sensei? Minato asked, raising an eyebrow. Interesting. So are these new students of yours any good? Good? We're awesome. Naruto cried. We kick total ass. I'm gonna be the next Hokage. Sasuke punched the back of Naruto's head. Lower your damn voice, dope. You're giving me a headache. Why you? I'll kick your. Boys, stop it, would you? Sakura said sharply. Be polite. Minato frowned. Déjà vu. They're pretty similar, aren't they? Jiraiya asked. Although, these three here are still genin. They have a lot of potential, though. Naruto can use a watered-down version of the Rasengan, and Sasuke has quite a bit of experience with the Sharingan. And Sakura, I'm ashamed to admit, is probably smarter than. You taught someone else my move, sensei? Minato interrupted, frowning again. His eyes sharpened, eyebrows lowered. Unlike before, he now looked like what he was, a Jounin, a seasoned soldier primed for the position of Hokage. Even Jiraiya sobered, looking into those eyes. You didn't think it prudent to clear it with me? I don't want that information just floating around Konoha, you know? It's dangerous if used too often or incorrectly. That's true of many jutsu, Jiraiya said. Trust me, that kid can handle it. Said kid was still struggling to land a blow on Sasuke, but couldn't break free of Sakura's iron grip. Kakashi and Rin watched with amusement, seeing their hot-headed teammate in Naruto, and Obito watched with anger, seeing his arrogant teammate in Sasuke. Not to mention the pretentious little rookie had insulted him. Bastard. He can handle it. Somehow, I find myself fearing for the safety of Konoha if a loose cannon like him can use Rasengan. He's as loyal a soldier as you can get, Jiraiya assured. The last thing you need to worry about is that kid hurting anyone or anything in this village. Jiraiya was oddly serious when he said this, and it caught Minato's attention. His frown changed to a neutral line. All right, I'll trust you, but I still don't like it. Loosen up, kiddo. I wouldn't have taught him if I thought he would abuse it. He saved lives with that move. That made Minato's lips curl in the slightest of smiles, his mood lightening again. Oh, well, that's good. Glad to hear that. Besides, you hypocrite, Jiraiya muttered, his serious mood evaporating. Naruto is just like you. You think you were any better at that age? Minato frowned again. Sighing and smiling a little again, he shrugged. No use fighting it. So, you say he can use a watered-down version. What do you mean? Naruto, Jiraiya said, and the blonde stopped fighting against his teammate's hold. He looked at him. Huh? Minato wants to see you use Rasengan. Show him, would you? Looking at the man as though he had just now realized he was in the immediate company of the inventor of his signature jutsu, the future Yondaime, he stared openly at Minato for a moment before grinning widely. You bet. He can use your jutsu, sensei? Rin asked, looking at Minato thoughtfully. So, Jiraiya sensei says. Naruto took a deep breath, stepped away from the group, and faced a tree. Making the cross seal that no one in Konoha but him used anymore, he cried, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, and a clone appeared beside him. Minato's eyes widened slightly. Kage Bunshin, he repeated. Holding his hand to the side, Naruto waited as his clone manipulated the chakra in his palm until soon, a swirling vortex of blinding blue energy was caught between his fingers. Rasengan, he shouted, and shot forward, slamming his hand into the tree. Minato and his team stared at him for a long while. Naruto turned, looked at Minato, and chuckled somewhat nervously. There you go. Watered down. When you said that, I thought you meant in terms of power. Minato breathed. It took me years to get it that strong. Took him a few weeks, Jiraiya said, and Minato whirled on him. Weeks? My God, what? Jiraiya grinned. Why do you think I took that bumbling idiot on as my student? Dumb as he acts sometimes, he's strong. And he has a lot of talent. TSH, I'll say. Hey, don't call me an idiot, Ero Senin. And with that, the last remnants of Minato's skepticism vanished in a fit of laughter. His entire mood had changed, and Jiraiya knew that Naruto had, with that one name, made a friend. Ero Senin, Minato cried, holding his sides. Oh, that's great. I love it. I'll have to use that. Naruto grinned again, full force. Jiraiya scowled. Tise, figures. Obito frowned thoughtfully. Ero, Senin, he lets you call him that. Naruto snickered. He tries to act all scary, but he's just an old pervert. Sasuke and Sakura nodded their agreement. Obito looked back at his teammates, remembering the sorts of things Jiraiya made them do when they annoyed him, and just how he forced them to do those things. Well, we know that, Rin said, but he doesn't, punish you. He tries to be tough, Sasuke muttered, but he's just as much an idiot as Dobe here. He smacked the back of Naruto's head again. Speaking of which, Jiraiya, did you? Jiraiya-sama, you ingrate. Did you actually set up a place for us to sleep tonight, or are we just going to camp out? We'll get a hotel room or something. Don't call me an idiot. Stop being one, Sasuke replied, echoing Naruto's own word from earlier that day. There was a stretch of quiet as Jiraiya and Sasuke stared each other down, while Minato wiped tears from his eyes and flashed a thumbs up to Naruto. Obito grudgingly broke the silence. So, Sasuke, you can use the Sharingan? This was fun to write, but a bit harder than I thought. Introductions between a large group of people. Okay, so maybe 9 people isn't exactly a large group, but is difficult to get through. Still, I think this worked. Anyway, I think next chapter will be when things start getting really interesting. Side note, the names I gave to Kakashi, Naruto, and Sakura are all completely random. They don't mean anything. Tapping his foot in tune with the rhythm in his head, Minato mumbled the words under his breath before lifting up his chopsticks and slurping up the noodles in one quick motion, a thoughtful expression on his face as he chewed. A decidedly unfavorable expression rose on his face, and he glared at the bowl in his hand as if it had insulted him. Why does this stupid hotel never cook this stuff right? Naruto, too, looked perturbed, inspecting the chunk of meat caught between his own chopsticks. They call this miso? Tastes like liquefied rubber. The noodles don't have the right consistency. Either they're too. One of mine was crunchy, Naruto declared with a scowl. Minato shook his head in disgust. This tastes like that instant stuff they sell at convenience stores, cooked the wrong way. Yeah, Naruto agreed. But it's like they took the little seasoning packet from a bunch and mixed them together. I can taste beef and chicken in this, and that oriental flavor too, and too salty, like they added more. You're not supposed to add salt to ramen. For the love of, why would anyone do that? There's enough salt in it already. And you know, I taste shrimp or something too. These people are just throwing 7 different kinds of ramen into the pot and calling it done. Naruto took another bite and frowned. 8. Surprised, Minato followed suit. Hey, you're right. It was about then that the pair noticed 7 pairs of eyes on them. They turned, identical expressions of surprise on their faces. Oh, great, Rin muttered as she rolled her eyes. He's a ramen junkie too? Sakura nodded. Yep. We're not junkies. Naruto and Minato snapped at the same time. The blonde Jounin cleared his throat. I'm a ramen connoisseur. Thank you very much. Yeah, Naruto nodded his agreement. Connoisseur. Do you even know what that means? Sakura asked. Sure I do. It's what I am. The pink-haired Kunoichi rolled her eyes and was about to say something else, but Jiraiya interrupted. Hey, what was it you were mumbling just now, kid? Minato raised an eyebrow. Oh, just a song I heard on my mission. Thought it was kind of catchy. I got the album, Obito said proudly. It rocks. There was a long silence as Kakashi and Rin lent identical looks of disdain, tinged with disbelief, to their goggle-clad teammate. Obito, completely oblivious, looked at the pair with wide eyes. What? Disgusted grunts. What? Rolling of eyes. Oh, come on, what? That, Rin finally said, was the dumbest pun I've ever heard. Even you can do better than that. Obito-kun. Huh? What are you talking about? I just said. Rocks is the name of the song. You idiot, Kakashi muttered. Huh? Obito blinked. It is? I didn't know that. Did you even look at the back of the case at the track listing? Oh no. Rin threw a pillow at him. Naruto heaved a sigh of relief. Phew, attention off me. Minato frowned. Ramen still tastes terrible. Yeah. Rin threw 2 pillows at them. Hey, Minato snapped, picking up the Naruman-drenched pillow that had assaulted his face. Throwing it back at his student, he growled, That one's yours. Naruto glanced at his bowl, sniffed, and handed it to Minato. Here. Oh, thanks. Sucks anyway. True. Almost makes me want to vomit. Really. Minato picked up his fallen chopsticks and began to eat again. Yep, he declared with a mouth filled with undercooked noodles. Terrible. Absolutely disgusting. Sasuke shook his head. Ugh, they're both helpless. Kakashi sighed. Sometimes I wonder how that man became a jounin. He didn't catch the odd look Sasuke gave him. Kimura gave Sasuke a look that said, Don't say a word. All in all, it was a pretty normal evening. So, Sensei, why do you take on new students anyway? Jiraiya shrugged, gazing at the moon. Always said I'd never find another big blonde dolt like you. But I was wrong. Figured I'd try again, see if this one would turn out any better. He hasn't, but hey, I'm used to it. You know, Hokage-sama told me I'm one of the prime candidates for his successor. So, I'm not exactly a failure. Sarutobi senile, Jiraiya muttered. Let that chain-smoking son of his into the ranks of the Chunin, didn't he? He's senile and soft. He probably just said that so he wouldn't hurt your feelings. Asuma isn't a bad ninja, you know. He's pretty good. He'll probably make jounin in a couple years. All the more proof that this village is going downhill, Jiraiya said. If that lazy little brat makes it into the elite, TCH. Well, whatever. Out of my hands, anyway. Minato chuckled and followed his teacher's gaze. I like these new kids of yours. A bit strange, but there's a certain sort of camaraderie about them. Like my own students. Naruto and Sasuke would never admit it, but they're each other's best friend, Jiraiya said. They push each other, force each other to get better. I think that's why I didn't separate them, even though it seemed hopeless. I'm starting to think the same of Kakashi and Obito. They seem to enjoy their verbal sparring. And it seems like every time I turn around, they have some new trick up their sleeves. It's never boring, at least. They're always doing something interesting. Minato chuckled. And that Naruto kid really is like me, isn't he? Oh yes, one of the first things I noticed about him. Loud, abrasive, yet somehow lovable idiot. Hamnoa, and too damn energetic for his own good. If I didn't know any better, I'd think he was your son. Minato was looking away and didn't see the amused grin suddenly spread on Jiraiya's lips as he said that. By the time he looked back, the grin was gone. I think I'm gonna like that kid. You don't seem to like Obito all that much, and he's the same. Oh, I like Obito just fine, but something about Naruto's just appealing. He knows about ramen? That's probably part of it. Well, he's a good kid, and even though his teammates give him a hard time, I'm pretty sure they like him. They just don't want to admit it. Shaking his head, Minato laughed. God, it's like they've been reborn into different bodies. Hell, they almost have the same haircuts. Just dye Naruto's hair black, Sasuke's silver, and Sakura's brown, and nobody would be able to tell the difference. It is kind of scary. You know, they say when you meet someone that reminds you of yourself, you either bond immediately or hate his guts. Hopefully these guys will bond. They turned and looked in the window at the 6 young ninja. Rin and Sakura had ganged up on Naruto and Obito and were beating them mercilessly with pillows, while Sasuke and Kakashi watched from the other side of the room. I think they're bonding, Minato murmured. Naruto, in a last-ditch attempt to escape death by feathers, jumped up onto the ceiling and flipped upside down, using chakra to keep himself up. Running away from the two kunoichi, he turned around and laughed at them. Rin launched her pillow at Naruto with deadly accuracy, and it hit him square in the face, causing him to fall from his perch. Onto the laps of Sasuke and Kakashi, who grunted in surprise and pain. Glancing at each other, the two black-eyed ninja picked Naruto up and held his arms. Naruto strained against the hands holding him in place, but couldn't. Sakura and Rin grinned at each other and started stalking toward the struggling blonde. Obito struck them both from behind, and they whirled on him again. Jiraiya chuckled. Yeah, they're bonding. Think we should save them before they start losing teeth? I guess so. We're fine, Sensei, Rin assured with a grin when the Jounin stepped back into the room, tossing her pillow into Obito's face, who oomphed and fell backward off of the bed and smacked his head on the wall. Ow! Rin, did you use chakra to throw that thing? Yes. Obito popped his head up from behind the bed. Hey, that wasn't fair. Minato rubbed his chin. Well, as much as I don't like to see my subordinates hurt. Obito coughed in what sounded suspiciously like liar. I suppose I should commend you in using chakra in such a manner. Very smart. Good job, Rin. Sakura-san told me about it, Rin said. It sounded like a good idea. I think my goggles are broken. Jiraiya sighed and glanced at Sasuke. What's been happening in here? Animal cruelty, Sasuke muttered. Hey, Obito and Naruto both snarled. Minato snorted laughter. God, this is great, he muttered under his breath. Okay, he said in a louder voice. It's getting late, and if we aren't in Sandame's office by 6 tomorrow, he'll probably send an A&BU out to look for us. So, how about we all get some shut-eye now before we have to make a trip to the hospital first? You know, Naruto mumbled, climbing into the bed he had claimed for himself. I never thought being a ninja would mean I'd still have a bedtime. He was asleep in 7 seconds. Nobody said anything about the fact that he was resting his head on the pillow of bad ramen, because really, he didn't seem to care. Once Obito laid himself down, he followed Naruto's example and was asleep immediately. Sasuke and Kakashi simply closed their eyes and leaned back against the wall. Jiraiya and Minato glanced at each other and shrugged. Think they're trying to prove something? Minato murmured. Probably. Sakura and Rin decided to share the last bed, and Minato and Kimura both clapped a hand over Jiraiya's mouth before he could say anything. Come on, Sensei, Minato said. Let's go sleep outside, shall we? It's a warm night, and I don't feel like sleeping on this cramped floor space. Let's go. They dragged the red-faced, giggling Sannin out of the room. Something about the moon makes for solemn conversation. Jiraiya asked as Kimura approached him. Seems that way. Already had a talk with Minato earlier, when the pillow war was going on. Where were you during that? Anyway. Getting a drink. Anyway, just how long does this jutsu last? From what I could gather, as long as we want it to. So what? We just live as I've been. Pretty much. Kimura turned to the moon and sighed. Now that I've seen them again, it feels just like old times. I almost feel like joining my younger self in berating Obito. Jiraiya chuckled. That really wouldn't be fair, would it? Obito gave you many things, not just your Sharingan. Maybe you should take a side to make him feel better. After all, you believe many of the same things he does now. Kimura chuckled. Defend him? Back him up when he begins one of his impassioned speeches. Why not? You're Ataki Kimura now. No problem. You could do just about anything you want. Now, me, on the other hand, I have to act like myself. Much as I'd like to ruffle that goggle-headed moron's hair and tell him he's a good kid and I really don't hate him, can't act like that. Wouldn't seem right. You liked Obito as much as we did, didn't you, Jiraiya-sama? Yeah, good kid. But I didn't realize how good till I got the message from Minato that he died. I guess that's just how life works. You don't know what you have until you lose it, you know? And you don't realize just how true that old saying is until you experience it. Kimura nodded. If I'd known he was going to die, if I'd known he was willing to sacrifice himself for his friends, I'm sure I wouldn't have mocked him as much as I did. Anyone willing to die for what they believe in is worthy of respect, no matter who they are. Jiraiya smiled slightly. This is strange. I wasn't sure what to expect when I did this, but it just seems normal. The old routine. It doesn't feel like anything's changed. Kimura agreed, nodding. Indeed. And I, for one, am glad for it. It feels right. It's funny. All the things Minato used to do that annoyed me just made me want to laugh now. Everything I used to get angry about makes me smile. I feel like a sap. Kimura smiled beneath his mask. Yes, well, death changes one's perspective. Jiraiya nodded. They looked at each other. Say, Jiraiya murmured. What say we? Make ourselves useful while we're here. Ow! The Sannin chuckled. We have knowledge no one else does. We should put it to good use. You know, in every book or movie I've ever seen with time travel, changing the past to affect the future never turns out well. That's because the people who try it are stupid. Civilians. We're shinobi. We can do it. We've got plenty of time, you know. So let's do it. I suppose it's worth a try. Sorry about the rocks joke. I couldn't resist. I love that song. Why is it that the second and subsequent opening themes to anime never seem to live up to the first? Well, I'll live. The most recent opening theme is pretty catchy in its own right, I guess. In case anyone's wondering, yes, Asuma is Sandame's son. And no, I'm not making that up. Says so in the latest chapter of the manga. Sorry for those who haven't read that far, but I didn't want anyone thinking I just made it up. This time I didn't. And yes, for this story, I'm assuming that Minato-sama is Naruto's father. The story just wouldn't be as fun otherwise. If it turns out I'm wrong on that, oh well, I'll learn to live with it. Far as I'm concerned, they're father and son. Well, this was fun. Now, I realize right now this story is going far more into the humor category than the angst category, but that doesn't mean no angst will be present. Eventually, they'll have to be. Still, as can be witnessed by the over-the-top silliness of this chapter, blame Obito. He made me do it. I intend for this story to be mostly lighthearted and funny. Thanks to everyone reviewing this story. You guys are awesome. Keep them coming. And I love long reviews, by the way, so if you find you have anything you want to say, don't hesitate because you think I'll be bored. I won't be. I love hearing from you. A success, I assume. Minato, hands in the pockets of his pants, nodded with a grin. Sure thing, Sandame. The kids did a great job. Nobody suspected a thing. They can play the innocent child act pretty well. Running a hand through his graying brown hair, Sandame nodded with a slight smile and blew a cloud of smoke out of one side of his mouth. Good. That's fine. So, any substantial information? No, not really. They're tight-lipped about it. Plus, people usually aren't exactly comfortable with talking about a pending war around children, and anyone my age they're suspicious of. So, we didn't get much. They did dance around a lot of our questions, though, like they were nervous. Looking over the stack of papers Minato had handed him, Sandame nodded. I had figured that. You did well, though. If nothing else, it reaffirms my suspicion that the Hidden Rock is planning something. Thank you. Take a couple days off to rest and train. Minato nodded. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Continuing to go through the pages of the Jounin's report, Sandame nodded. You're dismissed, Minato. Thank you, sir, Minato repeated, and set down a small slip of paper on the man's desk before leaving. Old man, I have 3 new students with me right now, all of them 12 years old, and one of them is an Uchiha. The clan won't recognize him, however, and he isn't in the records, so I'll need your assistance when and if they decide to bring up the matter with you. Just tweak things or something. His name is Sasuke. Yashiro probably reported him to you or one of your adjutants a little while ago. I'll explain the details later when I have the time to go into detail. Thanks in advance. The great Jiraiya-sama. Frowning, Sandame rubbed his bearded chin, reading and rereading the small message written in his former student's oddly precise, flowing handwriting. He did remember something Uchiha Yashiro had told him the previous day about someone wearing the Uchiha insignia, but he hadn't heard the boy's name. Sasuke, huh? HM. He was curious, but if there was one thing the elite ninja had learned in all his years of dealing with Jiraiya, it was that when he asked you to do something, you did it. Sandame could only think of about 3 times Jiraiya had ever asked him to do something in all the time they'd done business together, from his academy days until now. He would only ask for a favor if it was very, very important. Sandame decided he would go over the birth records from 12 years past and add in the name Sasuke later on in the day. Whatever the reason, Jiraiya obviously needed this done. He wondered why. I gave him the note like you asked, Sensei, Minato said. What was it about, anyway? Just a bit of old business, Jiraiya said. Personal, you know. Oh, huh. Okay then. The pair walked over to where Kimura and the others were, a newly established stand in the middle of the village called simply Ichiraku Ramen. The proprietor was unsatisfied with his current location, though, as there was little daily traffic, and planned to move to a better place in the village when he had enough money to afford a bigger stand. Minato had yet to try the food there, but he'd heard good things, and after Naruto had assured him that it was the best ramen ever, he decided to have lunch there. Naruto was just as particular about his ramen as Minato was, so anything he endorsed was likely to be heavenly. Minato wondered, though, just how Naruto knew it was so good. When had he been there? The 6 young ninja sat at the stand with Kimura, eating already when Minato and Jiraiya showed up. There was only one remaining stool, and Jiraiya motioned for his student to take it. Kimura, Jiraiya said, are you finished? Yes. Small, I have to talk to you about something. Nodding, the masked Jounin left with him. Long after the others had finished, Minato and Naruto continued to ask for more. By the end of an hour, Minato had tried and adored every variety available at the small stand 2 times over. My God, this is good, the blonde man said with a wide grin, and Naruto nodded emphatically. He had said this enough times to make the cook blush. Yeah, we heard Sensei, Obito muttered, wiping off his goggles with a napkin. Great. You like the ramen. Hoo-hoo. I mean, geez. Rin added. Yeah, it was great food, no doubt about that, but how many bowls have you had? Minato tapped each empty bowl. 9, 10, 11. And Naruto-kun has had 14. Yeah, whatever. Minato waved it off. I just got paid, it's no big deal. Calm down, huh? So you're buying? Sure. I'll be generous. Might as well. I already have to buy a ton of M. 4 or so more won't make any difference. But you're full, aren't you? We've been done for at least a half hour now. Good. Okay then. Sasuke stood up suddenly. Thank you for the meal, Minato-sama, he said quietly, and his teammates looked at him oddly for a moment. I'm going to find Kimura. He left without another word. Minato-sama? Naruto repeated. Since when Sasuke, all respectful? Sakura shrugged. I guess he's heard about Minato-sama's reputation. You're going to try it being Sandame-sama's successor, aren't you? Minato nodded. That's right. This village has been running the same way for years. I respect Sarutobi, but I've got some changes I plan to make. The mannerisms of the Hyuga, for example. He stirred his ramen with his chopsticks as he looked up at the Hokage monument, thinking. There was a minute or so of silence. Speaking of stuffed shirt dignitaries, Obito said finally, I gotta get home, Sensei. Thanks for paying. It's still early, Obito. I'd hope for us to get some training in today. Yeah, well, later. Last time I was late, Mom almost bit my head off. Obito stood up and scrunched up his face, speaking in a squeaky, high-pitched, grating voice. Just because you're a ninja doesn't mean you don't have responsibilities here at the house. Obi-kun, do you have any idea how hard it is to keep this place running? Minato snickered. Your mother's a fiery one, I'll say that. Wouldn't want you getting into hot water with her. Ngon, opikun. Say hi to mommy. Abito scowled. Hey, shut up. I keep telling her to stop calling me that, but she don't listen. You'll always be my little baby, Obi-kun. I'm your mother. I can call you what I want. Sheesh, treating me like a kid half the time, a slave the other half. Why am I too young for her to call me by my name, but not young enough to get out of chores on top of my being a ninja? I'm a freaking chunin now. You want to get technical? I'm her superior. She hasn't passed the chunin exam. But no, she can still boss me around cause I'm your mother. Rin was smiling. She knows how to put you in your place, Abito-kun. My place is in the military. I shouldn't have to do dishes and change diapers. Can't handle a diaper, Abito. Kakashi murmured softly. Sound as though she does know your place. If you aren't man enough to handle simple chores, you shouldn't be in our military. I ain't seen you volunteering, Kakashi, so don't act all high and mighty on me. Now, Minato said. That's enough. Go on, Abito. See if you can come out later today. Tell them I called for you, if you can't get away. Abito grinned. Thanks. That usually works. He turned away, back in his mocking tone. Where have you been? I've been slaving over this stove, getting dinner ready for your father and uncle. And you're off wandering the village? Get moving, mister. You got work to do. And give Itachi-chan his bottle, would you? He's been crying for the last 2 minutes. And stop antagonizing him. He's just a baby. And he's your cousin, so be nice. Minato rolled his eyes. I'm beginning to think he needs some sort of sedative. I should see if Tsunade Nichin has any ideas. Then again, how long's it been since she came to visit? Maybe Shikaku has something. He's lazy enough, and he knows about medicines. Glancing back at the younger ninja, he noticed Sakura was slightly pale. Sakura? What's wrong? Upset stomach. Ah, no, Minato-sama. Sorry. Naruto, could you come with me for a minute? Huh? Oh, sure, Sakura-chan. You bet. Kakashi. Turning, Kimura, he was even starting to think of himself by this name, raised his visible eyebrow at his black-haired student. Yes. I need to start training again soon. I assume you want to keep your Sharingan a secret, so what will we end up doing? Meeting in secret? Probably. For now, though, I just suggest working on something else. Maybe even try helping Abito with his Sharingan. You'd be surprised how much you learn when teaching someone else. Sasuke frowned. Maybe. He did ask me. There you go, then. Do that. Jiraiya, standing nearby, crossed his arms. Don't tell him where you learned, though. If he presses you for answers, say I taught you with scrolls and interviews and such. I have a reputation, after all, so no one will wonder about that. Letting slip that you learned from Kakashi will raise questions that shouldn't be answered quite yet. Sasuke considered this, then nodded. Fine. I'll do that. But if he gets too annoying, I'm dropping this whole thing. He's just like Dobe, and I don't know how long I'll be able to train him if he isn't a quick study. Like you said, Jiraiya said, he's like Naruto. He's a quick study. He just hasn't had a chance to learn from one of the elders. Nobody wants to teach him until he proves himself. NNH. He left. So what's up, Sakura-chan? Wipe that grin off your face, Naruto. This is serious. Blank-faced, the blonde raised an eyebrow. Huh. Did you hear Abito? Itachi. You know, Sasuke-kun's older brother. He's here, in the village. Yeah? So? Naruto. What? He was talking about Itachi crying for a bottle. He's a baby here, you know? What trouble's he gonna cause? Sakura fumed, turning away from her teammate with a concerned look on her face. I'm worried. What happens when Sasuke-kun finds out? He probably hasn't realized this yet. What happens when he does? Naruto shrugged. I don't know, but I don't see what the big deal is. Not like we can go killing him or something. I don't think the Uchihas'll appreciate that. But, what if we tell them what'll happen? Who's gonna believe us, Sakura-chan? They'll just think we're nuts. Sakura took a moment to be disgusted with herself because Naruto was being the voice of reason. But still, this was big, huge, gargantuan even. But we could do something. We could stop him. Uh-huh. Well, When you come up with an idea, you tell me. Was that all you wanted to talk about? 'Cause my ramen's getting cold. Yeah, I guess, but Naruto shrugged. I mean, unless you want to take a walk or something, think it over. Glaring at the blonde, whose lips were curled in the slightest of smirks, she clenched her fists. Watch it, Naruto. Don't you try anything. What? Naruto asked innocently. Just concerned is all. Uh-huh. And Jiraiya-sama just conducts research. Try it on someone else, Naruto. I know what you're trying. Fine, fine. No walk. Let's go back then. She sighed. Okay, I guess. I'll just try to think of something. But don't tell Sasuke-kun. If he doesn't realize it yet, he won't do anything, but if we tell him, he'll do something stupid. Yeah, I get it. Sure. As they walked back, Sakura thought that if she weren't so suddenly nervous about her black-haired, black-eyed teammates' welfare, she might have actually been impressed with Naruto. He had his moments of level-headedness. There were times when he seemed wise beyond his years, as if he really had learned something from his three mentors. Nah, Sakura-chan, you sure you don't want to take a walk with you? You could rest your head on my shoulder if you want. She punched him. I feel evil. This was for those of you wondering about Itachi. I haven't forgotten about that. So have fun contemplating just what'll happen next. I'm planning a few things that I'm highly intrigued by. Who knows? Maybe you'll be too. By the way, about Asuma, it's revealed that he is Sandame's son in chapter 314. As to Konohamaru, he's either Asuma's son or nephew. I'm thinking nephew. Not sure, though. Makes me wonder. Sometimes I really hate that little snot. Giggles too damn much. What the hell's so funny about my hair? Didn't feel all that funny to me. Obito shuffled down the main street of the Uchiha district in the general direction of Minato's favorite training ground, rubbing his head and wondering if his so delightful baby cousin had given him any premature bald spots, grumbling under his breath as he was wont to do after an afternoon of working around the house. For other shinobi, a day off meant relaxation, a chance to unwind. But for Uchiha Obito, no such luck. For him, a day off meant home duty, cleaning, and babysitting, and any number of other such menial tasks that should have been long behind him. So much for adult responsibilities. What a crock. Evidently, when the Hokage had told them they were adults, he hadn't put thought to the women of the Uchiha clan, who, despite all that ceremonial garbage about serving the patriarch and rearing the future generations with a firm but gentle hand, ran the place with an iron fist that forced said future generations into slave labor. Obito had a feeling that even his father danced on their strings. It was extremely disheartening, honestly. He felt like he had no future, like his entire life would be spent not saving the village and ensuring his eternal memory in the hearts of his adoring people. No, it would be spent elbow deep in soap-choked water. He wondered if the problem was that his mother kept forgetting the same thing everyone else seemed to, that he had passed the Chunin exam. He had lost count of the number of times Minato still referred to them as his Genin team, and numerous other older shinobi had done the same. Honestly, what the hell was wrong with them? Were they that surprised that he had become a Chunin that they didn't allow themselves to believe it? Sighing as though he were some long-suffering martyr, unaware or refusing to admit that the thoughts running through his head were far too melodramatic to be the truth, Obito stuffed his hands into his pockets and fished around, noting that he had some coins in the right and a stick of gum in the left that he hadn't been aware of. Popping the gum in his mouth, Obito chewed methodically. Oi, Obito! Flinching slightly, his pride did not allow anything more than that. Obito looked behind him to see Sasuke walking up behind him. He stopped. Oh, Sasuke. What you want? Sasuke slowed his stride when he caught up with the older Uchiha. Kimura suggested that I seek you out, he said. What for? Training. Training? Oh, I see. So you want my expertise, huh? Want I should help you out? Teach you the ways of the ninja world? Sasuke scowled. Oh no, he sent me to train you. Ashi, what the? That's not funny. No, it's not. I wasn't entirely thrilled with the idea either, but I've got no one to train me right now, and Kimura said I should train someone myself to further my ability. But, but why not one of the academy brats then? I don't need no training from no genin. I learned all I needed. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Oh, it seems you didn't learn how to harness the Sharingan, did you? Obito stopped short, eyes widening. Vuvucha. You mean, whoa, wait, hold on, you're gonna... Sasuke turned his head over his shoulder. I don't want a member of my clan sullying the Uchiha name by being anything less than elite, so you're gonna have to learn to use the power in your blood. How long have you been able to use it? A few months. Is it fully formed? Fully formed? No. Manjikyu is still beyond me. But I don't intend to learn that, anyway. Not anymore. But, according to most members of the class, it's fully formed. Manjikyu, Obito whispered. I thought that technique was just a myth. Sasuke shook his head. No, it's real, and it's extremely dangerous, even to the user. So I've decided not to attain it. Obito had no reason to believe Sasuke was lying, and so didn't realize the real reason Sasuke had decided against gaining the Manjikyu Sharingan. The reason he barely even admitted to himself, much less anyone else. Whoa, crazy. So, Sasuke continued, hands fisted at his hips. Shall we begin, then? Hell yeah. Let's go. Sasuke smirked. Fine, then. We'll start immediately. Awesome. Obito was suddenly in a much better mood than he had been. The Sharingan. He would finally learn it. After all this time of trying on his own, he suddenly thought that this newcomer wasn't as stuck up and snotty as he had thought. Maybe this Sasuke was a pretty good guy after all. Naruto would have scoffed and rolled his eyes if he had heard that, and probably would have said something along the lines of, Sasuke ain't no good guy. He's just trying to show off. But the point was, he finally had someone willing to teach him. Suddenly, today felt like the best day ever. Even with the headache Itachi had given him. Minato scowled. This is ridiculous. Where's that damn boy? I know his mother's a bit of a slave driver sometimes, but come on. I'd venture to think he's with Sasuke, Jiraiya said, and Minato turned to look at him. Kimura and I suggested that Sasuke train Obito to use his Sharingan. They're probably off doing just that. Oh, well, if that's the case, then I guess he won't be around today. I guess that works out well enough. So what do we do then, sensei? Rin asked. Minato rubbed his chin. Well, let's see Kimura. The gray-haired man looked up. You're a Jounin, aren't you? That's right. Then, how about you help me out a bit today? Kakashi's more advanced than Rin is. He could stand some more strenuous training, and given that you're a Hatake as well, I think you'd be good. Kimura shrugged. Fine by me. Sakura. It seems you know some rather advanced techniques yourself, from what Jiraiya Sensei has told me. Rin could learn from you. You guys should train together. Both Kunoichi nodded. Okay, they said. Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. Why the grouping up of trainees and trainers, Minato? This isn't your usual method. No, it isn't. But I think, for now, it'll do us good. So what about me? Naruto piped up. What should I do? You, Naruto-kun, come with Jiraiya-sensei and me. Your use of my jutsu is impressive, especially given your age, but your method needs work. Using a clone to manipulate your chakra slows you down quite a bit. We need to see about teaching you to do it yourself. So, you're going to train me? I made up the move. It stands to reason I'd be the one to train you in its use. Jiraiya murmured. I see. So this is why you're splitting up your squad today. You want to focus on this. Minato nodded. It's foolish to leave him with so much of the jutsu mastered and that crucial part ignored. He's needlessly crippled right now. Oh, I agree. You make sense, kid. Might as well. Minato nodded. Okay, you all know your assignments. Kakashi, Rin, I expect to see some sort of improvement over the next few days. Hi, Sensei, both Chunin replied. You know, Minato, it'll take Naruto a lot longer to get this down than a few days. True, but we can start. Besides, for what you said earlier, I'm not so sure it'll take him all that long at all. Certainly he'll get it faster than I did. Let's do this, Naruto cried, pumping his fist in the air. The sooner we start, the sooner I'll master it. I'm gonna make your guys' Rasengan look like nothing. Jiraiya rolled his eyes. Can't deny it's refreshing to see that kind of enthusiasm, Minato said. He's about as spirited as that guy kid. I told you about him, didn't I? Oh yes, you did, Jiraiya muttered. Sounds like a pain. He make Genin yet? Yeah, that's right. I forget who he's training under, but he passed this year. From what I hear, he's shaping up to be quite adept at hand-to-hand. Taijutsu by itself doesn't make anyone a good ninja, Jiraiya muttered. Huh? Naruto asked, incredulous. But what about Fuzzy Brows? Sakura gave him a hard stare. Jiraiya's face remained impassive. I don't think that's his name, you know. And anyway, as good as he was, he's a rarity. In general, a shinobi should be balanced. Who are you talking about? Minato asked. Oh, just some kid we came across near the Wind Country. Very thick eyebrows. Kinda creepy looking. Anyway, never mind. This isn't really relevant. Minato nodded, and when he turned to say something to his students again, Jiraiya mouthed, "Watch what you say," to Naruto, who nodded with a sheepish grin on his face. All right, let's go somewhere more open, Minato said. Last thing we need is a bunch of debris. Naruto nodded enthusiastically and practically skipped after the two older ninja, humming to himself and swinging his arms. Kimura glanced at Kakashi, and they both headed off in another direction without a word. Sakura watched them leave. Not the talkative type, is he? Kata Suikon? Rin asked. No, he's generally pretty quiet. He looks the type, Sakura noted. Ever since our squad was formed, Kakashi-kun has been that way. He fights with Obito-kun a lot, but other than that, he doesn't really say much to anyone. Sounds familiar. Well, anyway, shall we get started? Sure. Sasuke stopped walking in the midst of an open field with 3 posts in the center of it. Obito looked around, not recognizing the place. Why here, he asked. Sasuke shrugged. Why not? He couldn't argue with that logic. So, how do we start? Tell me something, Obito. How were your grades at the academy? Surprised at the question, Obito nonetheless answered. Not too good. Why? What's that matter? Sasuke glared over his shoulder at the older boy. That's a stupid question. But regardless of that, the answer's good enough for me. I suppose I should go easy on you then. Obito scowled. Hey, don't take me lightly, man. Turning, Sasuke's black eyes seemed to bore into Obito's soul. Obito, you need to understand something. You're like Naruto. Even your commander says so. That leads me to believe that you lack discipline and only fight with raw passion. Is that about right? I guess so. With a man such as Minato-sama accompanying you on your missions, perhaps that passion is enough. But if you want to be good enough to be able to use the Sharingan, then you need to learn that it isn't enough. Not in the long run. You may be like Naruto, but you're not him. And that means you won't survive long if you don't shape up. Obito's scowl deepened. What's so great about him? Sure, he can use Sensei's jutsu, but that ain't much. Sasuke smirked. I have met numerous shinobi in my life that have been able to defeat me, strong as I thought I was. Naruto beat them all except one, but that one does not discount the heart of the matter. He is a rare exception to a general rule that you need to understand. Passion must be tempered by discipline in order to be effective. Obito's scowl vanished in surprise. The look in Sasuke's eyes made him seem much older than his 12 years. He seemed decades older. He realized that, while Sasuke might be younger than he, that didn't mean he wasn't experienced. Quite the contrary. Is that right? So what's that mean to me? I gotta train harder? Is that what you're getting at? Partly. Sasuke sighed, arms flat at his sides, and looked Obito straight in the eye. Sandaime evidently deemed you good enough to rise to the Chunin level, something I cannot claim for myself. But don't think you won't learn anything from me, or you'll end up hurt. You trying to scare me? Or do you just like hearing yourself talk? A soft chuckle. A habit I picked up from an instructor of mine, I guess. He liked to talk. He talked too much. But that doesn't matter. Okay, so we gonna start training now? Sasuke grinned, and it made him look predatory. Obito took an involuntary step back. Yes. The younger ninja flew at him like a hawk, eyes glowing red. Month 1 down. I'm pleased to see this story being received so well. You guys are awesome. I note that this chapter doesn't have as much humor in it as the previous ones, but, well, it still sets the stage for quite an interesting situation, doesn't it? Sakura training Rin, Minato training Naruto, Sasuke training Obito, and Kakashi training Kakashi. I find it a bit odd that I'm thinking more about the ending to this story than the part I'm currently working on. That's part of the reason it took me so long to write this. I'm very pleased with the way the plot's shaping up in my mind, and I've little doubt that you'll enjoy it as well. I don't know how long this will end up being, but the fact that it has a definite ending makes it a bit easier to manage than my other Naruto FIC, No Longer Alone, which won't end until the series itself ends, and who knows how long that'll take. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Till next time, that a ninja must never show emotion. There were any number of rules in shinobi society that Jiraiya refused to acknowledge, whether it be by intentional ignorance, accidental ignorance, mischievous defiance, or simple lack of caring. And while that rule was one that he, unlike many of his comrades, admitted was not humanly possible, it was one of the very few that he fervently believed in. At one point he hadn't, and the turning point was a single event that he would never forget, no matter how hard he tried. And as he watched his first student laugh and joke and argue with his second, the son he didn't even know he had, Jiraiya remembered yet again. Remembered that if he'd only kept his emotions in check, Minato wouldn't have died with a broken heart. Sensei, tell Kushina that I love her and that I'm sorry. The ceiling had taken all of the fourth Hokage's energy, and the life was fading fast in his eyes, and it took all of his remaining breath to say those final words, to make that final request. And Jiraiya had had enough tact in him not to tell his prized protege that his wife had died not an hour before. It just hadn't helped any. His eyes had said it clearer than his voice ever could have. Minato's last moments were filled with self-loathing. For all the wonderful memories he had given his teacher, Jiraiya himself couldn't even let Minato die in peace. Holding a body so weak when once it had strength to rival the gods of myth. In that one time above all others when he needed to live up to his reputation as one of the Sannin, when he needed all the strength and wisdom and experience he had garnered in his decades as a soldier, Jiraiya had failed. Failed miserably. And, as always, it was the ones he loved that were hurt by that failure. People wondered why Jiraiya drank as much as he did. Sighing heavily, the frog hermit shook his head and marveled at his own stupidity. Here he was with the chance to revisit his past, to relive his memories, to remember the greatest moments of his life. A chance God only knew how many people would kill for, and he was dwelling on the ones he wanted desperately to forget. You're an idiot, Jiraiya. A grade A moron. And then he realized just how true that was. He'd said it once. He had a chance to change things. This was the past. There was no reason that things would have to happen that way again. I have knowledge no one else does. I have plenty of time, he murmured, repeating to himself the words he'd said the night before. His eyes hardened. If Sandaime, Tsunade, or Orochimaru would have been around to see the expression on Jiraiya's face, they would have known instantly what it meant. And even Jiraiya's hot-headed, generally insane, or completely insane in Orochimaru's case, teammates would have admitted that when Jiraiya had that sort of look in his eyes, it meant only one thing. He was stone-cold serious, and that was a good thing. Even they would have admitted that this meant Jiraiya had made a promise. Not just any promise, either. Not the sort of promise that he would break if he found a new, well-endowed, scantily clad cutie to occupy his imagination for the day. Not the sort of promise he would brush off as unimportant if it turned out to be more trouble than he'd expected. This was the sort of promise that was made in the deepest recesses of his being, in the very depths of his soul. And whenever Jiraiya made such a promise, nothing would stop him from seeing it through. Nothing. Minato, I swear to you, things won't happen this way again. You won't lose your students this time. You won't lose your wife. You won't have to die. I swear it. And it was only when he had rooted his feet in the reality of that oath, steeled himself against whatever repercussions that would come from that oath, and gritted his teeth against whatever sacrifices he would have to make to carry out that oath, did Jiraiya allow himself to laugh and joke along with his students. So, Naruto-kun, tell me, where exactly did you come up with the idea of using a clone for this jutsu? Naruto scratched the back of his head, puzzled. I don't really remember too much about that. It was a cat, Jiraiya said, walking up to join them. He figured out how to rotate his chakra in different directions by watching a cat play with a water balloon. Minato frowned. So, the clone takes the role of a playing cat. I'm not sure I get it. It's how he manages to make it into a workable form, the hermit continued, having a Kage Bunshin both rotate and condense his chakra. He can't do it with a single hand. He needs assistance. So he called on his other signature jutsu. Naruto frowned, then nodded. Yeah, okay. Stepping back, the blonde Jounin crossed his arms. I see. Sensei, it probably wasn't a good idea to let him take such a shortcut. He should have learned how to rotate and condense chakra using only one hand. Perhaps, Jiraiya conceded, shrugging, but I decided to let it slide. It's worked for him so far. Besides, now he knows the way it works. In a fashion, but it's still the wrong way to go about it. He's grown used to doing it his own way. Haven't you, Naruto-kun? Naruto nodded. Well, sure. And because of that, it'll be harder to learn it the right way. Habits are hard to break, Sensei, especially bad ones. You of all people should understand that. I'll pretend you didn't insinuate what you're telling me there. Jiraiya snapped, eyes narrow. Keep in mind, Minato-chan, you're still a brat. I have seniority. Or senility, Minato muttered, and Naruto snorted laughter. Jiraiya scowled. You've forgotten your place, kid. I taught you all you know. Both of you. I took you on as my students, and this is my repayment. Oh, come now, Sensei, lighten up. If you can't admit that you have plenty of vices, then we need to add delusion to the list. And anyway, this is beside the point. I think we should start over with training Naruto-kun. That way, he'll learn it the right way. Minato glanced at Naruto. So what do you say, kiddo? Ready to be my student? The gleam in Naruto's eyes at that offer was not lost on Jiraiya, who smiled slightly. Of course, much of the reason the young genin was so excited at the prospect was because he knew Minato as the famed Yondaime Hokage, the greatest ninja ever to exist. But there was another facet to it, Jiraiya was sure. Even though Naruto didn't realize just who Minato was to him, some part of him felt it. Jiraiya could tell, just in the way they had so quickly bonded, that both of them felt a kinship with each other. Jiraiya seriously considered telling Minato just what had happened, just where he and the others had come from, but he thought better of it. Not yet. The time wasn't right. Instead, he simply watched and wondered if Minato had met the woman who would later become his wife yet. He wasn't entirely certain just how far back he'd taken himself and his companions yet. Maybe you should try to find her, no? Kushina has probably been warned about me, sheesh. No respect at all in this village, I swear. He huffed, frowning again. It was seriously unfair. There was one fundamental difference between Jiraiya's teaching methods and Minato's, and Naruto picked up on it immediately. Jiraiya was like Kakashi, giving only the necessary information regarding the exercise before finding something else, probably perverse in nature, to occupy his time. Minato, on the other hand, behaved more like Iruka, remaining at hand in case his student had any questions. He told Naruto various bits of information, from how far to place his feet to the proper crook of his fingers as he molded chakra. Much of what he said sounded stupid to Naruto at first, but gradually he realized that he felt much more comfortable than he would have otherwise by following the man's advice. He supposed he should have expected nothing less from a hero. Also, Minato seemed quite at ease as Naruto trained, even though he wasn't making any headway. He was patient, belying his energetic, almost childlike demeanor. He also employed a tactic that Naruto hadn't expected to do any good, but somehow did: distraction. He told stories, made jokes, pointed out various things in the landscape, any number of things to make Naruto lose focus on the task he was attempting to perform. When Naruto finally asked why Minato was doing this, he replied, "This jutsu isn't about mind power. I didn't create it through months of contemplation over scrolls and books. Try to come up with the most efficient jutsu I was capable of. The Rasengan is all natural, and by that I mean it's purely physical. Your body knows how to do it. By focusing so hard on it like you want to do, you're breezing right past it. I'm letting your body do what comes natural by distracting your mind." And strangely enough, it seemed to be working. "That stain never did come out," Minato was saying now, while straining to suppress laughter. "Did it, sensei?" Jiraiya huffed. "No, but it doesn't matter. That incident, as you so kindly call it, resulted in the pivotal scene in my first novel, which sold like crazy, might I add." Minato, however, was no longer listening. I swear, the look on his face was absolutely priceless. "Oh, you should have seen it." Jiraiya twitched, groaning with exasperation and pulling out said first novel, reading the scene in question and smirking. "This scene was so worth losing one lousy shirt, and I refuse to let you read it, you ungrateful little snot." "Oh, loosen up, sensei," Minato said with a grin. "You know you love me." "Probably one of those bad habits I have," the gray-haired Sannin snapped. "Some people love drinking themselves into unconsciousness, but that still doesn't make it healthy." "Some people," Minato repeated. "You mean like Seiyu?" "I do not drink that much. I drink until I'm drunk, not until I'm incapacitated." Naruto and Minato shared a look. "It's true, damn you," Jiraiya snarled, but sounded far too whiny to be taken seriously. "You know, sometimes I wonder why I keep coming back here. I must be a masochist." "You still like hanging around Tsunade Nichin every once in a while," Minato said, raising an eyebrow. "So I'd say that's a fair guess. How is she, anyway? Have you heard from her recently?" "No, not recently. Last I heard, she was still in trouble with the law. Imagine that. Imagine the nerve of people wanting the money that they won from her." Minato rolled his eyes. "Figures. No luck in convincing her to come back." "TCH. Of course not. That old bat won't listen to anybody. She's a hopeless case." He glared pointedly at Naruto, who seemed about to say something. Seeing the look, the genin swallowed his words and nodded. "Well, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised," Minato shrugged. "But hey, you came back. Maybe Nachon will, too. Anyway, I think we've done enough training for the day. You look exhausted, Naruto-kun." "Ow. Maybe kind of." "You've done well today," Minato said with a grin. "I am impressed." And here he looked at Jiraiya. "Since he did such a good job, and because I was the one to train him today, I think you should be the one to get us something to eat. Don't you agree, sensei? Only fair, isn't it?" Jiraiya growled. "I hate you." Minato's grin widened. "They all say that." Whirling on his heel, Jiraiya groaned. "I've no doubt what you want. You know, when you two die from all the sodium you ingest from that slop, I'm not going to your funerals." "I'm actually comforted by that," Minato replied thoughtfully. "God only knows what you'd say about me." Jiraiya, who still remembered precisely what he had said at Minato's funeral, narrowed his eyes and clenched his fists, all the more determined to never have to say it a second time. "I'd simply tell the truth about you, kid." "Yeah, that's why I'm comforted. You have a twisted view of the truth, sensei." "Yeah," Naruto added. "Just look at what he calls research." "It is research. You just don't understand it." "What I don't understand is how you manage to write anything down. All I've ever seen you do is stare and drool." How that constitutes as research, I won't ever know. I thought there was more to it than that, like, oh, I don't know, thinking. I do think. Barely. Oh, suddenly telepathic now? You just don't understand the artistic nature of my work, you sad, ignorant little man. I think you just need to find a girl of your own. Then you'll understand it. I have a girl of my own, Sensei, Minato muttered. I told you about her. You met her. Oh, is she still around? Jiraiya asked, inwardly smiling at the answer to one of his many questions about just when he was. I wasn't sure. She didn't seem particularly interested in you, I'm sorry to say. She kept eyeing me, to ensure that you wouldn't pounce on her. People don't take their attention off a predator in their immediate presence, you know. Ah, now, you're just letting jealousy take over. No need to be so insulting about it. It's okay. It's my fault. Really, I shouldn't have shown myself. You couldn't hope to live up to my perfection, after all. If you're perfection now, then I've got even less to worry about. There's that jealousy again. Did I mention that you're delusional? Even if that's true, one of the benefits of being delusional is that I don't believe it. Damn, I hate it when you're right. No wonder you're so bitter. I'm always right. What about that time in the grass country when you... Quiet, Naruto. I warned you against that story. Minato raised an eyebrow, then elbowed Naruto playfully. Tell me later, huh? You bet. Jiraiya rolled his eyes, as much as Jiraiya might have wanted to protest. It was no secret that Namikaze Minato was the biggest celebrity in Konoha. Everyone knew it. He might not have started off that way, but now he was known and acknowledged as one of, if not the best shinobi in history. Minato would have scoffed at that, pointed at various other ninja he considered better than he, but it was the general consensus among the villagers, at the very least. It was all but guaranteed that he would succeed the third within the next few years. Sculptors had already begun planning the carving of his face upon the monument. And as proud as she was, it sometimes annoyed Uzumaki Kushina to the point of madness to be the fiancé of such a legendary figure. And this was why. Must be so amazing. And he's so dreamy, too. That messy blonde hair, those gorgeous eyes, and... oh, his body has to be perfect. Yeah, sure, perfect. Yup. Uh-huh. And not to be rude, but you're standing on my porch blocking my way into my house. And who are you, anyway? The girl stopped mid-rant and blinked. Oh, how silly of me. Could you move, please? I need to get these vegetables cooking, or I won't be eating dinner until midnight. Thank you. Oh, and if you want to talk to Minato, I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Just go find him. He's probably out training his team. Oh, I wouldn't want to bother him. See, could you just, She slammed the door shut behind her. Kushina leaned against the wall and groaned. Minato, I love you to death, but your fans are going to be the death of me. Couldn't you not be so impressive for once? Well, I could, but that would be lying. Kushina jumped up and squeaked, whirling around to see her future husband perched on a windowsill, a wide grin on his face. Minato, don't do that. I'm not a ninja. I'm not used to people just popping out of nowhere. Slipping into the house, Minato shrugged. You may not be a ninja, but you're dating one, so you'll need to get used to it pretty quick. Sensei's back, Jiraiya-sama. Kushina asked, raising an eyebrow. What's he doing back already? Wasn't he just here a few months ago? Sensei just pops in when you least expect it. Brought some students with him this time, though. Squad of genin. To know how he got his hands on him. Walking into the kitchen, Kushina began chopping vegetables for dinner. He came back to show you his new students? Minato took a frying pan from the cupboard under the sink and inspected it. Yeah, seems that way. Is this the pan Rin used on Obito last week? I think I can still see his face. Names are Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Sasuke happens to be an Uchiha with a fully formed Sharingan. Naruto's almost got Rasengan down to a science. And Sakura, well, she'll go places. And likely destroy them, too. Is it just me, or are all kunoichi like that? Throw that pan out, would you? You kidding? I want to keep this thing. It's kind of artistic when you think about it. Well, then, take it to your place. I can't cook on Obito Kuin's face. You didn't answer my kunoichi question. Your family's had a few. Were they prone to excessive violence, too? Minato, honey, I love you, but sometimes you just prove how clueless you really are. Women are prone to excessive violence. Minato sniffed. Well, at least I know what I'm getting into up front. Better chance of survival that way. Kushina smirked. Oh, just you wait. Minato returned the smirk in kind. Bring it on. Oh, by the way, Obito asked after your teriyaki recipe. I told him it's an Uzumaki secret, but he won't listen. Offered to pay. Saw the... Not good enough. He's a sweet boy, but he's got some sucking up to do after that. What's so special? Don't all women know how to cook? Comment. I think Kakashi dared him to ask that, you know. He still said it. Speaking of which, Minato lifted the Obito pan up and looked at it. Isn't that what caused this? I swear Obito gets himself hurt more often than anyone I know, except maybe Sensei. Jiraiya-sama attracts pain like honey attracts flies. He's just lucky he was Sandaime-sama's student or someone would have killed him already. I don't know about that, Han. He's pretty resourceful. Plenty of people have tried to kill him, and he keeps coming back. Have you seen his record? It's downright unbelievable. Contrary to popular belief, he deserves his legendary status. You wouldn't say that if he were here. Of course I wouldn't. He's too cocky as it is. No need to add to it. So what about these new students of his? You met them, I assume. Yeah, I think you'd really like one of them. For a moment, Obito was certain that Sasuke was using some sort of genjutsu on him. There was no way a genin could move so fast. No freaking way. Then he was on him, and there was no time for thoughts at all. His mind clicked off, and his body was fueled by instinct and habit. As he strained mightily to keep enough distance between himself and his opponent, Obito realized the extent of his disadvantage. Sasuke was able to see through every move and could plan accordingly. He was literally 2 steps ahead of Obito at any given moment, and Obito had no way to shake him. Deception was useless against the Sharingan. It went on like a dance, Obito struggling to put up a defense and Sasuke countering it for several minutes. To Obito, it felt like an eternity. This was impossible. No genin could be this fast. Who in the hell had trained this guy? Sure as hell wasn't Jiraiya. Couldn't be. He felt helpless. There was no way to win this. No way in hell. What are you doing? Sasuke suddenly snarled. Is this the worth of Chunin? Keep up. Naruto was at the bottom of his class, and he's 10 times more of a challenge than this. Of course, Sasuke conveniently left out the fact that, while Naruto certainly was lacking in the academic department, he was undoubtedly the fastest learner he'd ever seen. Not only that, but for some reason, his body was in peak form, able to withstand more punishment than most jounin. It worked, though. Obito wouldn't stand for being called 10 times worse than some genin. Oh, hell no. Anger shot him full of adrenaline, and subconsciously he noticed that it was getting easier to read his opponent's movements. Sasuke was getting slower. Not by much, but the difference was there. Definitely there. A grin began spreading on Obito's face. Kimura-san, what are we doing here? Just pay attention, Kakashi, Kimura said without looking up from his book. This may not seem like training, but it is. Now watch them. Closely. Kakashi looked at him oddly for a moment, then sighed and turned his attention back to Sasuke and Obito. I'm not sure I see a point to this, he muttered. Kimura rolled his eyes and snapped the book closed. Does that matter? I was asked to train you, and that is what I am doing. Forgive me if I don't see the validity in that statement. From my standpoint, all it seems you are doing is reading. And that, my young friend, is why I am a jounin and you are not. Now pay attention. Kakashi grunted and looked back. Was this really how I acted at this age? Kimura thought as he turned a page. No wonder Sasuke seems so familiar. It really is like looking in a mirror. He felt like a character in a novel whose author had run out of ideas, or perhaps liked irony a little too much. Raising an eyebrow as he turned another page, he chuckled to himself. A character in one of Jiraiya's novels. Did you see that? He asked Kakashi. Huh? What? Sasuke's counter. Yes. It's an invaluable technique to know. Memorize it. How did you even see it? You were giggling over that book. Kimura lifted his eye and tapped his hitate. Jounin. Right. You see everything. Exactly. You know, Arrow Senin, if Sakura-chan realizes you're spying on her, she's gonna go ballistic. Naruto, you poor, ignorant little fool. Have you forgotten who you were talking to? The great Jiraiya-sama does not get caught by Genin. Yeah, but she's a Genin who got trained by... Who again? I forgot. Maybe if you show me those scars you got, I'll remember. Sakura may have been trained by Tsunade, but she's no Tsunade. Not yet. I have nothing to worry about. You, on the other hand, just may want to watch out. Seems she's teaching Rin some rather advanced taijutsu techniques right now. Yeah? And? I think Obito's the one who ought to be scared. Rubbing his chin, Jiraiya thought this over. You may be right. Should we warn him? Sure. Yes, we should. The poor boy will be walking straight into a bear trap if we don't. How noble we are. Yeah, noble. You gonna warn Yondaime? He's not Yondaime yet, you know, and no. I don't think so. Why not? Training. He needs to be knocked down a few pegs. I figure getting himself beaten to a pulp by a chunin will do the trick. Kinda mean. Gotta offset the nobility, don't I? Balance in everything, Naruto. There must be a balance to everything. And, well, it'll be funny as hell to see Minato lose to a girl. You lose to a girl all the time. Tsunade is a woman, Naruto. There's a difference. Besides, she doesn't play fair. Naruto crosses arms. I think you're just a sore loser, Arrow Senin. Jiraiya grinned. Maybe. The grin vanished almost instantly, however, and suddenly the Sannin was somber. Naruto, he said, and the tone of his voice was serious. It was times like this that Naruto had learned he had to listen. I've been meaning to ask you something regarding Minato. What about him? Kakashi brought this up last night, and it's got me wondering. We noticed that you've taken a liking to him. Well, sure. He's a cool guy, and he's teaching me a lot of good stuff. Yes, well, you do remember that it was Minato who... He drifted off. Oh, you mean him? Naruto pointed to his stomach. Yeah, I remember. But what good is it going to do me getting mad at him? He hasn't done it yet. And besides, if he hadn't done it, Konoha would have been crushed. Jiraiya's eyes widened slightly. Oh, I done some research on that night, you know. I know what the deal was. The fox was going to kill everyone. Just what he does. Yondaime had to do something to stop him. He did. I got no reason to hate him for that. I mean, he died for that. What right would I have being mad when I got to live? Right? Jiraiya blinked. I guess you're right. I am impressed, Naruto. There was genuine admiration in the white-haired ninja's eyes, and Naruto couldn't help but feel proud of himself. It wasn't often that Jiraiya praised him so openly. Usually it was hidden behind a joke. Minato's impressed with you, too, you know. Told me he was going to watch out for you from now on. Thinks you might fight him for his title someday. Me? Hey, I want to be Hokage, but I'm not dumb enough to fight him for it. He'd knock me flat. Maybe now, but given a few years, who knows? All I'm saying is he's a bit nervous. Naruto also noticed that Jiraiya didn't refute Minato's nervousness. Thanks, sensei. Jiraiya glanced at him and chuckled. Yeah, don't get sentimental on me. Just telling you what he told me. He ruffled Naruto's hair. Where'd you learn this stuff, anyway? Rin asked, setting herself down on a tree stump. Oh, for my... Sakura stopped herself, remembering that it wouldn't be wise to tell the truth. Then, to cover the fact that she'd stopped herself, she glanced around. You hear something? Huh? No. Huh. Well, anyway, my sensei Kimura, he taught me. He doesn't use any of it himself, but he brought me some scrolls. I learned from those. Flexing her fingers, Rin smirked. Well, this is definitely effective. Thanks. No problem. Sakura snapped her head up. This time she had heard something. Okay, what was that? Rin looked around. I think over there. Probably just a squirrel or something. I'm gonna go check. Silently, Sakura made her way toward where she'd heard the noise that was most certainly not a squirrel. She stopped when she heard voices and was about to give her teammate and his perverted mentor a sound beating until she heard what they were talking about. That it was Minato who, Jiraiya was saying. Oh, you mean him? Naruto asked in turn. Him? Who? What the? Yeah, I remember, Naruto continued. But what good is it going to do me, getting mad at him? He hasn't done it yet. And besides, if he hadn't done it, Konoha would have been crushed. What in the name of? Sakura whispered. Oh, Jiraiya replied. I done some research on that night, you know. I know what the deal was. The fox was going to kill everyone. Just what he does. Yondaime had to do something to stop him. He did. I got no reason to hate him for that. I mean, he died for that. What right would I have being mad when I got to live? Right? Now thoroughly confused, Sakura felt any anger being spied on wash away. It wasn't often that she heard Naruto speak that way. And even though she had no idea what he was speaking of, Sakura still gathered from Jiraiya's reaction to it that it wasn't typical. Definitely not what he'd expected. She found herself impressed with Naruto, just as his mentor was, despite not knowing the whole story. She remembered something she'd thought earlier, that Naruto had his moments of level-headedness. Apparently, they were getting more frequent. Maybe he wasn't such a pain. Hey, oh, our little cherry blossom's gone missing. She probably found out what you're doing, Ero Senin. I told you this was stupid. Sakura-chan isn't as easy to fool as you think. There's a reason Bachan picked her as her student. How many students do you think a Hokage usually takes? Minato has 4 now. Yeah, well, you said it yourself. He's not Hokage yet. Bachan is. And she still trains Sakura-chan, even though I know she'd rather be drinking. Don't that say something? Jeez, no wonder you got so many scars. Turning around, Sakura smiled, suddenly finding herself in a very good mood. Thanks, Naruto. When she got back, Rin asked, so what was it? Huh? Oh, you were right. Squirrel. So, mister, I'm too good to have faith in my superiors. Are you ready to see just what I have planned for you? Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Fine. Kimura took a breath and slipped his book into a pouch. Perhaps it was because Obito was involved. You consider my training exercise to be lazy rather than effective. Was it because you just didn't feel like watching your teammate? It was because you were doing absolutely nothing. Ah, but that is where you are wrong, my naive little friend. I was doing something, and that something is what you were being tested on. Kakashi frowned beneath his mask. Observation. The frown dropped. Kimura cleared his throat and continued. A shinobi must perform his mission to the very best of his ability. You believe this, correct? Well, that is also true of training exercises. I told you to watch Sasuke train your goggle-clad friend, and perhaps you did, but likely not enough. I'm doubting you saw everything you should have seen, and I'm going to determine that now. Holding his hands before him in the seal of the ram, Kimura was silent as he vanished in a puff of smoke. When Kakashi's vision cleared, Kimura was gone. Instead, Obito stood there. I'm Obito, Kimura said simply, his voice a perfect mimicry of the young Uchiha. And you are Sasuke. We're going to perform the match that we just finished observing. Every move, every blow, every mistake, every success. And we are not leaving this clearing until it is perfect. Kakashi's eyes went wide. Kimura Obito smirked. But you wish you'd paid more attention now, don't you? The Chunin's only response was a deep breath. Well, Sasuke, come at me. Her training done for the day, Rin had had a previous engagement that she couldn't break. Sakura decided to wander the village for a while. If asked, she may have said that it was simply further training, noting every detail of change that she could find. She was just plain curious. The first major change she noted was that she kept expecting a summons from Tsunade at any moment. The fifth was a highly unpredictable woman and held meetings at some of the strangest times. It took Sakura a while to remind herself that her sensei wasn't here. At this time, Tsunade was nowhere near Konoha and likely wouldn't agree to train her even if she begged. The Tsunade of this time wasn't even a ninja. Not anymore. Not yet. The people walking the streets, even the few she actually recognized, looked alien to her. Of course they would, but it was still surreal, and Sakura couldn't really wrap her mind around the idea yet. A few of the more extroverted villagers waved to her, and she waved back. A few of the more respectful villagers bowed to her, and she blushed. She stopped walking when she came up to a building she couldn't remember ever having seen, even in her early childhood. It was an imposing structure, to be sure, but the one thing Sakura locked her eyes on was the instantly recognizable symbol atop the sign that named the establishment. The Uchiha Fan. It was the headquarters for the Konoha Military Police Force. "This is it," she whispered, awestruck. The building where the best of Konoha had held the law together. A group of shinobi more respected and feared than even the ANBU. Soldiers of legend. The Hidden Leaf's trump card. She began walking forward, entranced. It really was the past. It hadn't hit her until this. Even seeing the future Yondaime and his team hadn't done it. Seeing her teacher, her commander, as a child no older than she, hadn't done it. But this was history. She bumped into the woman without even seeing her. She landed on her back, and her hitate fell from its place atop her head to where most shinobi wore it, across her forehead. When she stood, it fell farther to where her commander wore it, across her eye. Lifting the headband, she reached behind her head and tightened it, setting it into its proper place. The black-haired woman smiled apologetically. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't notice you there." No. I'm the one who should apologize," Sakura said quickly. "I wasn't paying attention." "Who's this, Mikoto?" The woman murmured, glancing back as another woman approached from behind. "Oh, I bumped into her." The other woman, holding a squalling baby in her arms, grunted. "Will you take this little monster for a minute?" The woman, named Mikoto, took the baby from her companion. "Are you causing your aunt trouble again, little one?" The baby, a boy, giggled. "No," he declared. "No trouble. No, fume." "Oh, not from you, huh?" Sakura smiled, chuckling slightly. "He's so cute." Mikoto adjusted herself so that the baby was situated on her hip. "Yes, he can be very sweet when he wants to be. Sometimes, though, you need to leave poor Annie alone now, you understand?" Sakura's smile widened, tickling the baby's chin. He wasn't a baby, actually. He looked around 2 years old. She asked, "What's your name, sweetie?" The baby grinned and proclaimed, "Itachi." Sakura's heart skipped 3 beats. Her hand dropped, suddenly dead weight. Her skin went pale. Mikoto raised an eyebrow questioningly. "Is something wrong?" Sorry. I know someone named Itachi. It looks kind of like him. Just a little surprise is all. It's nice to meet you, Itachi-chan. I am Sakura." Sakura," Itachi said. Well, aren't you being social today?" Mikoto asked. "Kachin," Itachi said excitedly. "Sakura pueti." Sakura, despite her shock and revulsion, couldn't help but blush. She forced a smile back on her face. Thank you very much, Itachi-chan. And you're very handsome yourself." "Thank you." Mikoto smiled. "Very good, Itachi. That was very polite." "Polite," Itachi repeated with added emphasis, nodding for good measure. "You are welcome." Bowing, Sakura said, "It was an honor meeting you, Uchiha-sama. I'm sorry again for bumping into you." Mikoto smiled at the woman who was, apparently, her sister. "Hear that? Uchiha-sama," she says. "No need for such formality, Sakura-san. We're both kunoichi, after all. It was nice meeting you too." She kept her head down. The other woman frowned. "Wait, Sakura? Yamada Sakura?" It took her a moment to remember that yes, that was her name for now. She looked up. Yes, madam. I am Yamada Sakura. Oh, so you're the young lady Obi-kun was talking about today. Obi Obito-san. Yes, yes. He mentioned meeting you today. Jiraiya-sama brought you here, didn't he? Yes, that's right. I can only imagine why. Sakura chuckled. Yes, well, I don't intend to let him do anything, although he surely has something planned. Well, you be careful around him. It seems Obi-kun wasn't kidding. Hmm. Oh, nothing. Don't mind me. You must need to be getting somewhere. Come on, Mikoto. We'd better be heading back. Sure. Goodbye, Sakura said. As she turned to leave, she heard the as-of-yet unnamed Uchiha, Obito's mother, probably say, she is cute. I think Obi-kun might be getting another crush. Now, Mikoto said, I wouldn't count out Rinchan just yet. She's a sweet girl, and you know how boys are about their first loves. Obito-kun really does like her quite a lot. The two women continued talking, but Sakura heard none of it. She could hardly believe what had just happened. Her blood ran cold. Looking down at her hand, Sakura honestly expected it to be bleeding. She had touched him. She had spoken to him. Had. Oh God. Hugging herself, she started walking back the way she had come. She needed to be away. She needed to think. What would she do? What should she say? To Sasuke? Oh God, what would Sasuke think? What would he do? How would he? Oh no. It wasn't often that Haruno Sakura honestly lost control of herself. But this was... Gotta give credit to your sensei for that one. Jiraiya said thoughtfully, rubbing his chin. Quite an effective training exercise. Naruto agreed. Kimura-sensei's good at that stuff. You think it'll work, though? Kakashi's a smart kid, the Sannin said. He'll get it eventually, but it'll be a long while. Getting dark already. He'll probably be out there all night. Naruto sympathized. He knew how much it sucked to train at night. And fighting against somebody? Sheesh, especially somebody older and stronger than you? He shuddered. They passed Sasuke, standing by himself while he surveyed the townspeople still walking the streets. When he noticed them, he silently began following them. How was your first day training at Chunin, oh prodigal son? Jiraiya wondered. Better than I expected. You say that grudgingly. I didn't say it was good, just better than I expected. What did you do? Naruto asked. I fought him. That it? Basically. Well, that couldn't be been too bad. So you say. So what? Obito suck or something? No, but he's not what I expected. A Chunin, I figured on more of a challenge. Well, maybe our standards for Chunin aren't as high at this point in time, Jiraiya said mockingly. So sorry that it didn't meet your expectations. TCH. Much as I don't want to admit it, kid, Jiraiya said seriously, you're better than a lot of ninja your age. Not to mention, you've the distinct advantage of being able to use the Sharingan against a member of a clan whose entire strength as shinobi revolve around it. Something Obito is conspicuously lacking as of now. Sasuke scowled. You act as though we are incompetent without the Sharingan. Uchiha shinobi aren't so weak as that. Perhaps not, but regardless of that, Obito's entire training regimen at the moment revolves around acquiring the Sharingan. Therefore, his skills are somewhat lacking. No. They didn't speak again until they happened across Sakura, who looked extremely distracted. Naruto called out his usual enthusiastic greeting, and instead of ignoring him, or snapping at him to quiet down, or even waving to Sasuke, she simply lifted her head up. When she noticed Sasuke looking at her, Sakura's face paled considerably, and she bit her lip. Oh, she murmured softly, giggling nervously. Naruto, there you guys are. Sasuke grunted an acknowledgement. She licked her lips nervously as they approached. So, how'd your training with Obito-san go, Sasuke-kun? Could have been worse. Oh, that's good. How about you, Naruto? Awesome. Hey, Sakura-chan, you look kinda sick. You okay? No, I'm not sick. Um, Naruto, could I talk to you a minute? Sasuke and Jiraiya glanced at each other. I've been wondering something about Kagabunshin and, who better to ask, right? Sasuke seemed to accept that. Jiraiya didn't. Oh, I don't know, Sakura. How about the one who's been around for 50 years? I've been studying and using more techniques than you. You don't use that technique, Jiraiya-sama. Naruto does. A lot. And that's what I want to ask him about. Sure, Sakura-chan. What's up? Um, well, I. Jiraiya frowned. Apparently, this is meant to be private. She keeps looking at us. Small, Mr. Sharangon. Let's go check on that lazy-ass commander of yours. Sasuke looked at the man oddly for a moment, then shrugged. Whatever. They left Naruto and Sakura alone. Once alone, Sakura grabbed Naruto by the shoulders. Naruto, I saw him. I met him. Oh God, what do we do? I met him? Him who? Sputtering, she finally choked out. Itachi. I saw him. Eyes widening slightly, Naruto's face slackened. Oh, him. Well, what did you do? What could I do? I said hello. He was with his mother, and he called me Pwetty. Pwetty. Cracking a smirk, Naruto snickered. Hope you thanked him. Wah. Naruto, this is Itachi. The biggest criminal Konoha's ever seen since Orochimaru. Yeah. Sakura-chan, why are you getting so worked up about this? Wasn't he like 13 when he did that? How old did he look when you saw him? 2 is. Well, see, it ain't gonna be another 11 years before he goes bad. But Naruto, we know it's gonna happen. Yeah, but like I said before, how are we gonna prove it? If he called you, here he snickered again. Pwetty, I'm sure he's not exactly mean-spirited. Yet, no one's gonna believe us. They'll throw us out. But what about Sanem-sama? We could tell him. Jiraiya-sama could explain the jutsu, and an old man Hokage won't do a damn thing. 11 years, Sakura-chan. Lots can happen in 11 years. He'll want to wait it out. Maybe he'll watch Itachi closer, but wouldn't that be enough? Maybe. I don't know. The Uchiha clan was huge, remember? Strongest we had. He killed them all. By himself. But didn't he do it at night? Exactly. When everybody was sleeping. Nobody kept an eye on him. You think old man Hokage is going to keep tabs on him for 11 years? Security ain't going to be tight enough. And we can't kill him now. We be killed. Then what? The Uchiha clan's saved? Sure, but I don't want to sacrifice myself and my friend for strangers. Not if I can avoid it. So what do we do then? Said it yourself, Sakura-chan. He called you pretty. He likes you. Make friends. Mouth opening in shock, Sakura couldn't form a reply for a long, long moment. You're saying, she finally said, we stop him from killing Sasuke-kun's family. Not by talking to the village, but by talking to him? Sure. Why not? Kid's impressionable. But, I know. You're thinking of the Itachi we know. The criminal. The murderer. How can we make friends with a guy like that? She nodded weakly. How could we stomach being all nice to the guy who ruined Sasuke's life? The guy evil enough to kill his own family just 'cause he could? He's a cold-blooded psycho. He deserves to die. Why not just kill him? Another nod. Sakura-chan, I learned a lot about psychos in the time I've been a ninja. Big thing I figured out is they ain't just born like that. Something makes 'em snap. People can't be born evil, but they sure as hell can learn it. And just like how something makes him go cold, something else can make him come back. How can you? Zabuza, Gaara, Temari, Kankuro, Niji. Sakura would later think on just how often Naruto had managed to stun her into complete silence in the past few days. Gaara, especially, Naruto went on. He was freaking nutsoid. I exist to kill everyone other than me. He told me that. And Shikamaru can't get much crazier. He was trying to kill Fuzzy Brows when he was in the hospital. But remember what happened when me, Kiba, Chuji, Shikamaru, and Niji went after Sasuke? Fuzzy Brows came to help us out. And when things went bad, who came to help him? Gara. She did remember. First impressions hard to forget. Damn hard. I know it's going to be tough keeping the Itachi we know from popping up in our heads when we see him here. But he isn't that guy. He's a kid. And if we work at it, I think we can stop him from turning into that guy. Only you. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Only you would look at this and come up with such a simple, preposterous, ridiculous, impossible, brilliant idea. A grin spread on the blonde's face. Really? Brilliant. I don't know how you... That brilliant. Seriously? Wow. We can do this if we just... Sure we can. Naruto clapped his teammate on the shoulder, and for once she didn't yell at him for touching her. Not only are we going to do it, we're going to convince Sasuke to do it too, much as he's going to hate it. We are... Sure. Sakura had thought for the longest time that Naruto's steadfast confidence in himself was simple bravado, that he had no idea what he was getting into when he dove headlong into danger. She was beginning to rethink that assumption. Maybe Naruto didn't know what he was getting into when he dove headlong into danger. He just didn't care. And maybe that wasn't bravado. Maybe that was courage. Maybe Naruto's dream to become Hokage wasn't just a dream. Maybe it was his calling. Maybe a man who would make friends with an enemy rather than executing him was the sort of man who should lead a village. Or maybe I'm just going nuts. Looking at Naruto now, Sakura couldn't help but draw a correlation between him and Minato. They looked similar, they acted similarly, they had that same steadfast confidence. And look at what Minato had ended up doing. It felt strange to have an epiphany like this. The more she thought, the more she realized just how much Naruto had done, how much he had been able to do that no one else could have. He had faith in people. He believed in people, even the enemy. Let's go find Sasuke-kun and Jiraiya-sama, Sakura suggested, and Naruto agreed with a grin and a nod. As they walked, she gripped his hand, squeezed gently, and said, "Thank you." Looking at her, Naruto grinned again. "We're a team, Sakura-chan. No need to thank me." Sakura smiled. Was it really that simple? Apparently, Naruto thought it was. "We're a team." Her smile widened. Then, wait a second. The smile vanished. Obito thinks I'm cute. The forest closed in on him as he ran. The trees, which had always protected him, holding their stout arms upward and providing him cover, were suddenly malevolent, thinking him their enemy. He wasn't one to believe in superstition. At least, he'd never thought he was. But now, as he strained against his own muscles, screaming at them to go faster, he thought that he finally did. Every time he kicked off a branch, every time he threw himself forward, every time he ducked and dove and curled to dodge an obstacle, he became more and more convinced that the trees were helping the enemy. They were keeping him from the village, from his mission. Was it possible that the demon lord held dominion over this place? Was the Kyuubi capable of? He had no time to think such things. Thinking took too long, took too much energy. He had to move, damn it. The scenery whipped past him like a painting assaulted by a strong wind before it dried. At each turn, he wondered if he was going in the wrong direction, if 3 days without sleep had caused him to forget the way. He finally closed his eyes and let his memory guide him, send him through that familiar path toward home. He still had an urge to reach up and rub his eye, or Obito's eye. It still felt alien, like it wasn't even an eye at all, but a living thing struggling for dominance within his head. He supposed that was the Sharingan. A lot of good it had done him so far. "Ugh," he grunted, shaking his head. "Stop it, you idiot. Focus." Ignoring the searing pain in his muscles, he somehow forced himself to go even faster. He had to move, damn it. Sensei had given him one last request, one final order, and he was the Hokage now. He would not let his commander down. Not after he had let his teammates down. Not by a long shot. Minato Sensei's dying. It won't be long until the jutsu overwhelms him and stops his heart. Move, Kakashi, move. But no matter how fast he moved, it wasn't fast enough. For every step he took, the path seemed to grow. He almost thought again that he was caught in a Jinjutsu cast by the Kyuubi. Then he realized that he had opened his eyes again and snapped them shut. Before long, although it felt far too long in his mind, Kakashi made it past the main gates of Konoha, none too surprised to find that the destruction had hit the village as well in the time he had been gone, out on the front lines with his leader. He sped through the broken, burning, familiar streets like a hawk on the hunt, and while he was hunting for someone, it wasn't to attack. He found her quickly enough, but it was already too late. Namikaze's Kushina was lying on the ground, a huge chunk of her decimated home's wall having speared her torso clean through her spine. A freak accident made all the more poignantly painful because it had been a freak accident. One without a perpetrator he could persecute. He fell to his knees, all his hope fading, all the pain and ache and fatigue catching up with him at once, landing a crippling blow to his heart, mind, body, and soul. Hatake Kakashi wanted nothing more than to just crumple to the ground and die. It was too much. He couldn't even contemplate going back to Minato with news like this. And then it registered in his mind that he more than likely wouldn't be able to tell Minato this news, because by the time he made it back, the Yondaime Hokage would be dead. He felt slight comfort in that, and hated himself for that comfort. He closed his eye, bowing his head, and shook, straining with all the strength he possessed to hold back the waves of despair threatening to kill him. His eyes snapped open, and he scrambled to her side, this strong, smart, wonderful woman who had taken him in like a surrogate mother. This woman who had made the entire world make sense again, after he had lost the friends he hadn't realized he'd needed, and certainly hadn't deserved. Yes? What is it, Kushina-sama? He cried, all but hysterical. Chill. Just Kushina, Kakashi-kun. Just because Minato is Hokage now doesn't change me, so no more of this Sama business. How many times do I have to tell you? At least one more time, Kushina-san, he whimpered, sounding painfully young as he struggled to hold back tears. She smiled then, gently stroked his masked cheek with a trembling hand. You never learn, Kakashi-kun. No, Kushina-sama. She weakly gestured for him to lean closer. Kakashi, not about to deny her anything, did so immediately. Her lips gently brushed against his cheek. Kakashi-kun, this is it for me. The medics can't do anything. Now, maybe if Tsunade-sama were here, but... She began to cough, and the agonized moan that tore its way out of her throat as she did twisted Kakashi's heart into knots. He would have given anything at that moment to ease her suffering. Please, Kushina-sama, don't strain yourself. Why not? It's not like it will make a difference. Listen, Kakashi-kun, I know that Minato had to do it, but that doesn't mean I like it. He knew what she was talking about. He thinks far too much of the people who live here. He really believes that they will view our son as a hero for holding the demon lord inside him, but they won't. I know they won't. So please, Kakashi-kun, do this one thing for me. Of course, Kushina-sama, anything. Protect Naruto-chan. Please protect him. Kakashi nodded emphatically. I will, Kushina-sama. I swear it. She smiled again, weaker this time. Thank you, Kakashi-kun, and one more thing. Could you tell Minato, if she coughed again, if there's still time, that I love him, and that I understand. And goodbye. Any thought of keeping the news of his beloved wife's death from Minato now was dashed. Kakashi frowned beneath his mask, but nodded firmly. He would do this. He would. Sayonara. One last smile. One last pat on his leg. One last glimpse of her sparkling, joyful eyes. Namikaze Kushina died. Kakashi lowered his head again and felt the tears begin to flow. Sayonara, he repeated brokenly. He walked the streets with just as much poise, precision, and aloofness as he always did, but inside his mind was a churning maelstrom of emotions that he had feared would rise up again, but had hoped would not. Seeing Konoha as it had been before the fateful attack that would put the third back into the seat of power not a single year after the fourth ascension. The fateful attack that would bring about the end of everything and the beginning of anything. The fateful attack that had robbed Namake's Naruto of any chance at a normal life. Seeing that Konoha struck the man, now calling himself Hatake Kimura like a hammer striking an anvil, the vibrations making his heart race, and his lungs contract, and his legs go weak. Outwardly, however, there was no sign. Outwardly, Kimura was as composed as ever. When he finally decided to focus on his surroundings again, losing himself in his thoughts, even in friendly territory, was a breach in discipline that he would later berate himself for. Kimura realized he was standing in front of the sole building that he had told himself he would not visit. Not yet. The home of Uzumaki Kushina. Turning, he saw her, walking along the path toward that home with a bag of groceries cradled in her arms. She walked slowly, looking all around at the people going about their day, at the various animals, at the sights that had to be as familiar as her own reflection by now, but for some reason she took delight in. Kimura smiled despite himself. As painful as it was to see her again, Kushina, like his teammates, had been an integral part of his life before the QB, and though having the long-rooted resignation that he would never see her again be torn apart like this was disconcerting and hard to get through without breaking down, it was still. She was nodding a greeting to a passing shinobi on his way to the Hokage's office, and didn't notice until too late that there was a discarded tree branch, likely a child's improvised toy, on her path. She pitched forward, and Kimura smirked as he recognized one of the defining characteristics of his sensei's partner in life. Instead of gasping, crying out, or even grunting in surprise, Kushina growled a curse at her foolishness. Kimura shot forward. He caught the bag of foodstuffs in one hand and kept her from falling flat on her face with his other arm. Once she was standing upright again, he handed her the bag. Kushina smiled. Thank you, sir. Very much. He nodded his head. Of course. Are you all right? Yes. Thank you, she repeated. He nodded again. I am Hatake Kimura, he said in greeting. Oh, Hatake? So, you're related to Kakashi-kun? Minato-sama's student? Yes. Somewhat distantly, but yes. I see. He must be surprised. I couldn't tell one way or another. She laughed. That's Kakashi-kun for you. Ever the model shinobi. If I may ask, how is it that you know Kakashi? Oh, I'm. She chuckled slightly. Minato-sama's fiancé. I've known his team for some time now. I'm Uzumaki Kushina. It's a pleasure to meet you, Kimura-san. She bowed. Kimura smiled. The pleasure is mine, Kushina-sama. That brought another laugh. I'm no sama, Kimura-san. My future husband is a celebrity, but I'm not. I see. Very well, Kushina-sama. She gave him a look that Kimura found all too familiar. You're an interesting one, aren't you, Kimura-san? Yes. Thank you. The smile was back. Well, I must be going, Kushina-sama. I must speak with Jiraiya-sama. Are you near your home? Yes, it's just over there. Thank you again for helping me, Kimura-san. Go on. Jiraiya-sama gets restless if he's not causing an uproar. He likely already is. Very well, Kushina-sama. I shall leave then. One last nod, and he turned away, hands clenching in a fist from inside his pockets. He wasn't surprised when Jiraiya fell in a step beside him. Kid sure picked a winner, didn't he? That he did. You always were enamored with her, as I recall. Did Whittle Kakashi-chan have a crush on Sensei's girlfriend? Kimura smirked beneath his mask. I don't know. Why don't you ask him? Jiraiya smirked as well. I saw her as a mother, Kimura finally said a moment later. The smirk widened. Didn't we all? She'd taken every kid in this damn village, and half the adults, if she could, always taking it on herself to protect Konoha. I suppose it was so she could stand proud alongside her husband. Eh? Kimura nodded. Doubtless. The one thing she wanted, Jiraiya murmured thoughtfully, was a child of her own. Someone of her own blood. Imagine what she'd think if she found out just who that child of her own is. Jiraiya's smirk softened to a genuine smile. I think she'd be proud as all hell. I think you're right. They walked along in silence for a time. So, when do you think we should introduce Naruto to his mother? Kimura asked. We don't, Jiraiya said seriously, causing his fellow Jounin to look at him oddly. But I don't see any problem with letting Naruto meet his new sensei's fiancée at some point. Do you? No, not at all. I think they'd get along quite well. I think you're right. A day off was a rare commodity for Naruto, and given his current circumstances, he thought he could afford to take a day off from his personal training regimen, as well as his sensei's. The reason for this was that considering where he was, his training wouldn't do much. Sasuke was back, and while he was just as disagreeable and irritating as he'd ever been, he was still there. He threatened Naruto that if he didn't get any stronger, if he didn't make any headway toward his ultimate goal in the next few months, that he would leave again, and this time there'd be no convincing, no second thoughts, no guilt, and certainly no chance of redemption. Naruto knew that the Uchiha was just venting. He came back because he wanted to be back, no matter what he might say. And besides, with his newest plan, Sasuke could start making considerable headway now. What better way to avenge his clan than to kill the man who'd done it, but save the boy he'd grown from, to not lay the dead spirits of his family to rest, to put their memory behind him, but keep them alive and vibrant? Sakura had been right. It was brilliant. He cracked a smile as he walked. Allowing himself a day off wasn't slacking. Considering his current situation, he was way ahead of schedule, anyway. But no matter how much he convinced himself he could relax, Naruto just wasn't the type to sit around doing nothing. He set out to see if he might find Mikoto and her baby. He wanted to see Itachi face to face without having to fear for his life. It was a decidedly pleasing prospect. Naruto whistled while he strolled. Sasuke had seen Uchiha Yashiro. Sakura had seen Uchiha Itachi. Kakashi had seen Uzumaki Kushina and his old team. Jiraiya had seen Namake's Minato. Thus far, though, Naruto hadn't had the good fortune of running into someone from his past. He knew, obviously, that he was in the past. He was getting personal training from the Yondaime, freaking Hokage himself. But knowing something wasn't quite the same as being directly confronted by it, as any of Naruto's companions could have attested to by now. Naruto wondered if he would, as he wandered the streets of his village, so familiar and yet so alien. He grinned at the thought. He wasn't sure who he wanted to see, really. He just wanted to meet somebody he knew, other than, of course, Kakashi, because he wasn't exactly talkative. He had decided that he would seek out Itachi, but he entertained the thought of bumping into, say, maybe Sakura's parents, or maybe even Old Man Sandaime. That would be interesting. Maybe he would find Kurenai, or Asuma, or one of the other older members of Konoha's military, like that freaky guy, the one who liked torturing people. What was his name? Mori something. Or what did it start with an I? Money Ibanomoriki? Marino Ibiki. That was it. Naruto shuddered at the idea of bumping into that one. He was whacked, no doubt about it. Just because you were a ninja shouldn't mean you particularly enjoyed the work. That was a clear mark of insanity in Naruto's book. He'd learned that particular mindset from none other than Yumino Irika, about as gentle a soul as you could find within Konoha's borders. Not the type one would slap the moniker of ninja onto upon first meeting him, for sure, which probably explained why he was an instructor instead of a working soldier. I don't teach you to kill, Irika had said once during a lecture. I teach you to defend. Shinobi are glorified by many of the other villages as tools, as heartless, soulless killers who wouldn't hesitate to kill their own mothers if the order was given. But that's not what I want you to be. I want you to learn these techniques without enjoying them. I want you to learn what I have to teach you, because what you enjoy isn't the idea of killing, but the idea of saving. I want you to fight because you have to, not because you want to. Naruto had joined the Konoha Academy solely with the idea of becoming, someday, Hokage. He had his eye on the position of 5th at the time, but now he knew 6th was the best he could hope for. Still, he hadn't really put too much thought to the idea that ninja were taught to kill people, that they were raised to use their hands to snuff out life, like one might snuff out a candle when it was time for bed. He had never seen another person die, much less seen someone kill when he entered the academy. Irika had put things into a perspective that Naruto could surely appreciate, and now that he had been a ninja himself for a while, could fully understand why. He wanted to be Hokage because he wanted to protect his home. He wanted to prove to his fellow villagers that he wasn't useless, that he could use his skills, sparse as many people still thought they were idiots, for the good of Konoha as a whole. He didn't want to rise in the ranks for power. He didn't go out into battle with the idea of killing other people. He went to battle with the idea that these people, whoever they were, that he had been sent to find and likely kill or at least harm, had aims to hurt his people, and it was his job as a soldier for Konoha and for the Hokage to stop that. He didn't relish killing other people like so many thought a ninja should. So many people he had met thought that a model shinobi should love the thrill of hunting. They should anticipate the kill, because a desire to kill would make them a better weapon. But Naruto was no weapon. He was a ninja, a person, and he, partly due to his own principles, partly because of Irika's influence, refused to let go of that. Once you let go of being a person, you let go of life. That was what Irika had taught him. He supposed it was rather funny, considering. Ironic. The first person he ran into that he recognized was not Sandaime, or Kurenai, or a Suma, or even a ninja. It was Irika. For some reason, even though he didn't have the scar across his nose that would come to represent him so clearly in later years, it was obvious. Naruto wondered if it was his hair. He stopped walking and watched as a group of other children approached the 10-year-old child that Naruto considered a father. Oyumi once said. Irika looked at the speaker sheepishly. Why yes, Kazu-kun? Something clicked in Naruto's mind. The speaker, apparently named Kazu, scowled. Why still owe me shrimp for last week? You done disrespected me, you know, but seeing as how I'm such a nice guy, I gave you a chance to redeem myself. You got it. How many times had Naruto run into that same sort? The type who, for some stupid reason, hid their cruelty behind a facade of generosity, as if dancing around their true words made them somehow better. He figured it was a rule of life, or some such thing, that people like that existed, no matter where or when you were. You see, even my mom said that I couldn't have tip much money, cuz. Kazu growled. Excuses? Umi, you're treading thin ground. Why, little snot? I told you if I didn't have that money today, you was gonna pay. But I can't pay. Mom said. Mom said? TCH. The hell kind of crap excuse is that, anyway? Naruto rolled his eyes. Idiots. Sighing heavily, with a long-suffering look in his eye that would have been right at home on Nara Shikamaru's face, he approached the gaggle of goons with his hands in his pockets. Oi, Katsukun. Kazu turned, spit flying from his lips, and glared at Naruto, apparently trying to look intimidating. Who the hell are you? Don't matter. Just thought I'd say you look pretty stupid. Picking on a kid isn't exactly, impressive. Stupid. Who are you calling me stupid? Look, point is, bullies have to be, strong to make any sort of difference. And, sad to say, but you aren't. Who you calling a bully? Again, with the cookie cutter crap. You're a walking cliche, aren't you? You know the answer to that one, jackwad. So just shut up. How about this, huh? I'm in a peaceable mood. How about you and your moron patrol go play somewhere else? Leave this kid alone, and I pretend like you aren't an idiot. How's that sound? Get him. Naruto rolled his eyes and vanished just as the group of would-be tyrants approached him. He smirked at their bovine faces, staring at the puff of dust signifying where he had been. Reappearing just in front of Irika, Naruto turned and looked over his shoulder at the boy and winked. Then, in a gesture that had become second nature for him, he put his hands into the cross seal that called upon his signature jutsu. Gahibunsin no Jutsu. Crossing his arms, Naruto watched his clones chase the band of miscreants, he liked that word, one of Irika's favorite titles for him, down the street. Almost funny, he muttered. Naruto turned. Irika was looking down at the ground. Thanks for that. They were probably going to beat me good. Naruto shrugged and tapped his headband. One of a ninja's jobs, kid. Keeping the peace. You ever have problems with those guys again, you come for me, huh? Kazuhiko Naruto's the name. Irika nodded. Thanks. I'm Irika. Yumino Irika. He held up a hand. Naruto shook it and thought that this was completely backwards and just plain frickin' weird. Nice to meet ya, Irika. So where was you headed before Sergeant Stupid and the Pea-Brain platoon decided to drop in? Irika laughed. Naruto did too. That was a good one. I was going out to get some vegetables for my mom. Yeah. His mom. Naruto couldn't help but be confused hearing Irika mention his parents like that. He'd been an orphan for as long as Naruto had known him. An orphan since you killed Irika's parents. You're the demon fox. Naruto shook his head, banishing the phantom accusations. That wasn't true. He'd had nothing to do with it. Mizuki was an ass. Come on then, Irika. I'll keep an eye out. Your own personal bodyguard. I don't even charge. Ain't I nice? Irika's grin reached his ears. He nodded enthusiastically. As they walked, Naruto realized the same thing that Jiraiya and the shinobi formerly known as Kakashi had realized. Looking at this boy, so excited about having met someone near his own age who was kind to him, willing to take a beating just so his mother could have her vegetables, Naruto made a decision. It wouldn't happen the same way. No way in hell. And that realization made him feel strangely calm. He had a goal. He chuckled. Stupid fox wouldn't know what hit him. Irika looked up at him. Huh? Is something funny, Naruto-san? Nothing, Irika said. Kun. Say, you like ramen? This is good, Irika said around a mouthful of noodles. Thank you. No problem, Naruto said, waving it off. Always happy to spread it around, you know. Gotta give him more business. So, did you get all you needed? Irika lifted the bag on the stool beside him and nodded. Everything on my mom's list. Cool. Well, looks like you're about done. How about I walk you back home? Make sure nobody tries to sneak up on you. The black-haired boy smiled widely. Okay. Naruto hopped off his own stool, tossed some money on the counter, and ruffled Irika's hair as they started walking. As the boy began chattering about various things, Naruto's thoughts wandered. What's this going to do to the Irika I know? He asked himself, frowning. Is he going to remember? Is all this stuff going to screw up anything? He tried to keep from letting on to Irika that he wasn't really listening, but that thought, one that hadn't struck him before now, had him suddenly very worried. But Ero-Sennin and Kakashi-sensei aren't worried about it. They're doing the same thing. Talking to people, helping out, doing all kinds of stuff. If this was going to do anything, wouldn't they be more careful? But some part of him seemed to chuckle at that thought, and that chuckle wasn't heartening. They don't know if this will have repercussions. Your mentors are not infallible. Who is to say they're even thinking of possible consequences? They seem caught up in reliving their own memories, and it is doubtful that they are very level-headed right now. Naruto wasn't sure if it was the fox speaking in his mind, or just a more pragmatic side of himself. But no matter where the thought had come from, it was probably true. Jiraiya wasn't exactly a responsible citizen, after all, and no matter how careful he might choose to be in certain situations, this was a time in which his judgment would likely be clouded. And Kakashi, well, who knew with him? Naruto pondered this all the way to Iruka's home, trying to figure out just what he should do, or if he should do nothing at all, and just have fun with it. The latter was clearly the more inviting of the two options, but that was just why he was seriously considering the former. It was too easy to just leave it up to his teachers, wasn't it? But then, that was what he should do, right? They were the elder shinobi, the ones in charge. Was it his place, too? Has that ever stopped you before? Naruto flinched. Damn. Stupid logic. Ooze. Blinking, Naruto came up short and glanced at Iruka. Huh. Sorry, what? I said that's my house. Over there. The boy pointed. Oh, Naruto said dumbly. All right. A young woman was out on the porch, flipping through a magazine. She looked up as the pair approached and smiled. You're a bit late, Iruka-chan. Iruka shrugged. Sorry, Mom. I got into some trouble, but Naruto-san helped me. He gestured with a grin. Naruto chuckled and waved. Hiya. A shinobi? The woman asked, somewhat incredulously. What happened? Naruto shrugged. Bunch of idiots. Picking on him for some reason. Didn't bother asking why. Money, I think. I scared him off. Are you okay? She asked Iruka worriedly. Are you hurt? Iruka-chan? I'm fine, Mom. Here. He handed her the bag of groceries. She took it, set it aside, and knelt down to hug her son. Why didn't you tell us people were picking on you again? Iruka, clearly embarrassed, nonetheless returned the hug. I didn't want you and Dad to worry. It's okay now, Mom. Naruto smiled. Don't worry, he said. Anything happens again, I'll set things right. That's what I'm here for. Iruka's mother returned Naruto's smile. Thank you so much. No need for that. Ninja are here to protect the village. Some of them look at that as keeping enemy ninja away from us by going on missions all the time. I think it's more personal than that, you know? I mean, if we don't keep the village worth protecting, then there's no point. So we gotta keep the stupid people in line when they think they can do whatever the hell they want. I like that. Well, thank you very much, Naruto-san. I really appreciate it. Naruto nodded in acknowledgement. Thanks. Glad to see I'm appreciated. He grinned widely. Well, I'm off. Got some training to do. Are you sure you have to leave? We owe you something for this. At least stay for dinner. I will. There was something in the woman's eyes, something he couldn't place. He blinked, and a sudden, striking thought came to him. I thanked a lot, but I gotta go. Rain check. Come by any time. Yeah, Iruka said happily. He chuckled nervously and nodded. Thanks a lot. I'll, see you guys later. Take it easy, Iruka-kun. He turned away. Mom, he heard Iruka say from behind him, but he barely heard it. I think I want to go back to the academy. Really? His mother asked. Change your mind. Yeah, I did. I think. Some distant part of him noted the irony of the scene taking place behind him, but most of Naruto's mind was locked on a single thought, a single question, and it seemed to take over him like a fever. If Iruka's parents were alive in this time, then what about mine? Seems he met Iruka's mother today. He left looking quite preoccupied. Jiraiya shrugged. No surprise there. Probably trying to wrap his mind around it. Iruka's parents have been dead as long as he's been alive. He knows that too. He knows why they died too. That might be part of it. Kimura frowned. Guilt, you think? It's possible. Are you sure this was a good idea? Doesn't matter now, does it? He's had enough to worry about lately. He doesn't need misplaced guilt on top of it. He may be a ninja, but he's still a child. Far as I'm concerned, so are you. I know that, Kakashi, but I also know that Naruto's smarter than he acts. And he should know that feeling personally responsible for what the Kyuubi did is misguided and pointless. Should? Yes. And we should tell Sandaime about certain events, not the least of which being that a certain student of his will end up quite a large problem in a few years. Just why haven't we, by the way? You're the one who said we should use our knowledge to change things, aren't you? So what about Orochimaru? Just walking up to the old man and telling him isn't going to be enough. He trusts me, yes, but enough to denounce one of his prize students before he's been proven to have done anything yet? I don't think so. Just take things slow, would you? Do what Minato asked you to. Keep that up for a while and keep an eye out. We'll handle this all, but we have to be careful about it or no one will take us seriously. That sounds like an excuse to me. Slap whatever label you want on it. It's what we're going to be doing. Now, come on. Hurry it up. Kimura started to say something else, but stopped. He simply shrugged and followed the hermit. It was no use anyway. Rin, Kakashi, Sasuke, Sakura. Where are Naruto and Obito? Minato asked, crossing his arms. I can't speak for Obito, Jiraiya said, but it seems Naruto ran into a bit of a situation earlier. It's been dealt with, and he should be here soon. Situation? A minor setback. Nothing major. Minato nodded and turned away. Fine, do you two have any idea where Obito is? He asked Rin and Kakashi. I went to his house earlier this morning, Rin said. If I had to guess, I'd say he's doing chores. Mikoto-sama told me that he's been slacking and his mother's getting irritated about it. Minato sighed. For once, I agree with Obito on his mother's methods. When I specifically asked for him, I expect him here. I'll have to have a talk with him about this. Well, sometimes he uses your authority as an excuse to get out of things, even when you haven't actually asked for him, Rin pointed out. Minato grunted. It makes no difference if she doesn't believe him. When I call for one of my soldiers, he is to be here. Obito is late almost every time you call us, Kakashi pointed out dryly. When the summons deals with an impending mission, he is, at most, 5 minutes late. 2 hours is absolutely ridiculous. So go get him, Kakashi suggested. Why haven't you done that already? Jiraiya wondered. I kept expecting him to be here in the next couple minutes. Minato grumbled as he stuffed his hands into his pockets and started off toward the Uchiha district. Sensei, you're in charge till I get back. If Naruto doesn't show, go get him too. Jiraiya smirked. Of course, as you wish. Minato turned his eyes back and gave his teacher a stern look. Don't. I'm not in the mood to play psychologist today. Fine. I'll be good. Go on. Minato nodded. A flicker of movement, and the man known as the Yellow Flash was nowhere to be seen. Show off, Jiraiya muttered. Hey, look, there's Naruto. Hey, Naruto, what took you so long? Kimura noted the backward nature of the scene unfolding before him, and he almost laughed. This time, Sakura was the one calling out to Naruto, while Naruto was the one ignoring her. He half worried that he would walk straight past her to his rival and call him Sasuke-kun.